Hello, here we are to play our one-shot of Candela Obscura from the characters that we made the other day. Please introduce us and give us a quick breakdown of who your character is. Face is first.
Hello, my name is Face. Obviously not my real name, but my parents aren't that cruel, but it's the name that I use whenever I game. So I am playing Seamus O'Connors. He is a magician by trade and his day job effectively. Bit of sleight of hand, always impeccably dressed at all times, very suave, very sophisticated, very Sean Connery in his voice and mannerisms, which is going to be absolutely superb. He is like a fourth or fifth generation Candela Obscura member. Basically, his father, his father's father, his father's father's mother, and all that sort of stuff have all basically been passed down through the generations, both sets of parents along the way, all back effectively. He has been introduced to this on his 21st birthday, which would have been about 15 or so years ago. And yeah, he has been part of this world ever since. He was his drive behind it. Obviously, not only is it his family and what they do, but he also, because he is a magician, has always been interested in magic. The fact that you can actually do actual magic, that's something that, despite being forbidden, is always going to be that little bit of forbidden fruit for him, a little bit of an intrigue that he's always just seeing how far he can go without crossing over that line to become the monster. So yeah, that is Seamus O'Connors. Emily.
Okay, I just have one question that I just thought of. What level of fame is Seamus O'Connors at in his real life on the scale of children's birthday parties to Vegas?
I think he's probably appeared on the equivalent, not that they have TV, but he is
that famous stage show.
He is a magician that has appeared on Penn and Teller's Fool Us. He's that level of, he's that level of fame that some people, there's these slim chance that he'd be recognized in the streets, but they'd have to be a die-hard aficionado. I mean, don't forget, we don't really have massive amounts of TV and that sort of stuff here. He's probably done shows in and around the local area. So in the local area that we are, there's probably roll the dice and on a 6 somebody would recognize him sort of level of fame, I think. Work for you, Christian?
Sure, that works.
Yeah. Cool. So not like famous, but not completely unknown either.
But I mean, enough that you're making your living at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Does Candela pay? Do we get any money? Is there expenses?
Really?
I need to know these things.
You're a thief.
Thieves need to pay bills too.
And introduce. And on that note.
Hi, I'm Emily. My pronouns are she, her. I'm playing Bree Weathers, whose pronouns are also she, her. She is a criminal and is very good at what she does. Until she and her girlfriend, well, mostly her girlfriend, got a little bit obsessed with this one artifact and went full on conspiracy theory, pinboard, took over the entire apartment and just was like, I can find this. And of course, Bree, being a rational human being, was like, you okay? Are you okay? Because magic's not real, right? But then when they finally did the heist and they broke in and they found this artifact, Bree's girlfriend, Carrie, touched the artifact and disappeared completely. The artifact disappeared, the woman disappeared, Bree went home empty-handed, and the pinboard had disappeared. Ever since then, everyone that Bree talks to, who had been mutual acquaintances, has been convincing her that she's crazy because, who are you talking about? Carrie? What? I've never heard of this person. Just completely erased from existence. So now Bree is trying to reconstruct this pinboard and is trying to go, okay, how do I find this missing person? First of all, magic is real. That's weird. Second of all, what do I even do now? So it's trying to reconstruct the pinboard and try to find the artifact or anyone who can tell her any more about the artifact, which led her to break into our yet-to-be-named colleague's office one day and was trying to find information and instead found a friend. And by friend, I mean a person who definitely isn't trauma dumped on all the time. Segue.
Yes, well, we can discuss that. Hello, my name is Alex Maud, he, him, and I'm playing Dr. Christoph Yorkdale. Dr. Yorkdale is a man of average height and appearance. He is in his late 20s, about 28 years old. And he has been with Candela Obscura for about a year now. He was recruited, as a matter of fact, by Mr. O'Connor's after he, Dr. Yorkdale, was asking a lot of questions and doing a lot of independent research into the supernatural for reasons in his past, shall we say. And as such, he is very eager to discover more information about the supernatural to try and find out just how some unexplained things in his past happened. I realize I'm being rather, if you'll pardon the pun, obscure. I can go into more detail if you like.
Well, people have either watched the session 0 or they haven't.
Yeah, I mean, it don't necessarily have to.
Yeah. Well, then I will keep it a mystery for now. Yes, he is what you might call the straight man in this outfit. He is very practical, very calm and collected. Perhaps I would even say unflappable, for the most part, although as certain individuals have discovered very recently, Mr. Winters, he does have limits.
He is sometimes flappable. And breaks and says, "You need a therapist."
Quick mechanics question for you, Mr. Christian.
How dare you? Yeah.
Terribly sorry. So, my cool under pressure trait. On any high stakes roll, you may always spend cunning instead of the drive the action falls under. Is a high stake roll a mechanical thing, or just when we go, oh damn, oh this got to work?
Yeah, no, I will tell you if there's the rolls will be low stakes, standard stakes, or high stakes. Standard stakes. If I don't say anything else, standard stakes. Assume. Low stakes means that a failure is fine. High stakes means that a failure is definitely bad. Rest of the time could go either way.
So it is a mechanical thing.
Yeah, but in a high stakes roll, a 1 to 3 on the dice, so a failure on the dice, is probably gonna see you injured, or that person you're trying to protect killed, or something is gonna go wrong in the worst possible way because it's a high stakes roll. But you'll know that in advance. You have indeed been members of the organisation Candela Obscura, the secret organisation Candela Obscura, who investigate and hopefully suppress otherworldly activity in the Fairlands, things coming through the veil from whatever spiritual realm or monstrous realm they appear to originate from. We won't go deep into the lore, but you can watch plenty of videos on that, and the Critical Role shows go deep into the lore. If we continue this, we'll have a dive into the lore, but I don't want to get too bogged down in it. Now, all you need to know is that you exist in this turn of the century, 19th century steampunk-esque kind of world where magic is real and has been utilized, but is a fundamentally corruptive force. And there's no such thing as good magic as such. Magic is considered to be corruption and a negative influence, and the people that can control it are few and far between. So any semblance of magic is pretty much frowned upon. And there are monsters and other effects that sometimes break through this veil and threaten the people. So part of your job is to suppress these things and cover them up so that the people don't know, are none the wiser as to the secret world that exists beneath them. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it needs to stay.
So I thought I might just read you the setting introduction. So for anybody curious, this is an RPG that was clearly written by writers, by which I mean Matt and other people on the Critical Role staff. So the lore section, which is just like the world history, is that section there of this book.
Nice.
So it's easily like nearly half the book is just purely nothing but lore. But I will read our introduction to the Fairlands. The Fairlands, one of 12 regions within the country of Hale, is incredibly diverse in its geographic range. On the eastern side of this valley looms the treacherous Bridleborn Mountains, at the base of which lies the vibrant forest known as the Scarlet Wood, from which the illicit hallucinogenic substance known as scarlet is harvested. To the west, past the wastes of Westrek and the unforgiving Haven Hills, stands the jagged cliffs of the Verge, where standing stones from the ancient Faerun people look over the glass sea. The mighty Stentorian River leads to the verdant fields of Tottergrass in the south, while the mysterious village of Seasway sits in the shadows of the burgeoning coastal metropolis of Newfair in the north. For over a decade, the world has grappled with the effects of a fierce cold snap known as the Shiver. While many northern countries face shorter growing seasons and incredible food shortages, the relatively temperate oceanic climate of the Fairlands continues to provide for Haelan citizens. Because of its rich resources, the people of the region have dealt with near constant invasion for as long as the land has been settled. This current period of peace will likely not last long. That peace was hard won through the implementation of electricity during the last Great War. Filled with technology that resembles your own during the turn of the 20th century, New Fair stands upon the ruins of its ancient alchemical predecessors known as Old Fair. This place embodies the perpetual integration of the ancient and the innovative that occurs within such cities as Edinburgh, Lima, New York, Paris and Istanbul. In New Fair, citizens are nestled within historic brutalist architecture and the recent evolution from Art Nouveau to Art Deco. The stylistic war that drives fashion and architecture pales only to the political war happening between the Triumvirate, the regional government, and its citizens. The Triumvirate comprises 3 institutions, the Primacy, the Ascendancy, and Periphery, which align with citizens who uphold strict moralistic values. Meanwhile, technological advancement forces modern thinkers to examine the effects of mechanization on their community as they adapt to a post-war world. That is page 1 of the lore of this game. But I think it gives you an idea of the setting. I like that they reference back to like real world things, so you can sort of keep a mind on things. But yes, I do. We will look into it at some point. I do recommend it. It's for the very least, the book is very interesting for how much it goes into that world.
As a homebrew DM myself, I'm already engaged.
I know. You are, well, 2 of you are well-to-do people, whilst Bree obviously exists slightly on the outskirts of polite society. But you do, you do all right. But you do exist, the 3 of you, within one of the more affluent areas. And the area itself is quite don't want to say up and coming, but certainly on somewhere that people do flock to. Universities are here. There's good hospitals here. Well, that Dr. Christopher Yorkdale will surely work. There's a giant cat about to invade, because that's what he does. And the life is generally pretty good. You know that you are one of several Candela groups who operate within this region, and indeed one of dozens, maybe hundreds, you actually have no idea, that operate throughout the lands. You have very little reason to interact with the other groups. In fact, you only ever see each other when you are called in on an assignment, on a mission or quest, however you want to look at it, where you are discreetly contacted by the lightkeeper who operates the hidden room in the library, who you simply know as the librarian. If he's ever given you his name, you're unfamiliar with it, and if you ever ask, he just seems to change the subject. But he discreetly contacts you and calls you in, at which point the three of you gather and are informed of the strange events or situation that requires to be dealt with. Again, something needs to be some kind of monstrous element that needs to be eliminated, some kind of spiritual element that just simply needs to be controlled, or some kind of breaking between the veil and this reality that needs to be closed or needs to be contained in some way. The effects of this otherworldly interaction is generally referred to as bleed, and your interactions with those elements will cause bleed harm to you, which is generally the effects of being directly confronted by magic and things. It's the main reason that makes magic quite dangerous, is this effect of bleed. How much the three of you interact with each other outside of your Candela assignments, I leave up to you. Whether you have attempted to maintain some kind of social lives, or whether you simply step away and are happy to keep your lives very separate, is on you. But you do have a rich regular life that in Candela is only a very small part of. You don't live and breathe Candela. You don't, as you asked earlier, get paid by Candela. It is a calling rather than a job. And it's something that you do for your own personal reasons. You don't know how easily you could walk away from it. You've never tried. And you don't really know stories of other people, as the units are kept separate, so you don't know if that's an option or not. Maybe sometimes that keeps you awake at night thinking, are you actually allowed to leave? As the upper echelons of this organisation are somewhat secret to you.
Oh, why would anybody want to leave in the slightest?
But you do have amongst your group a legacy. Seamus O'Connor's, who is his family is deeply entrenched within. Oh, hey, Tone. Aha. Is deeply entrenched within the world of Candela. Generations of his family having served the cause, giving him some clout. Although, as far as you can tell, no power amongst the organisation. At least not for him personally. But definitely his name carries a little bit of weight.
Well, the family name, to be precise.
Well, it's good enough.
Which is your name.
Well, yes, but not the Seamus part, the O'Connor's part.
That's still your name.
Potato, potato, my dear.
No one says potato.
Yeah, literally, I don't think anyone has ever said potato in their lives.
I just did.
In this world, maybe they do.
In this world, they do all the time.
Alright. So, in this land, the current big news or large event is the building of a new rail system. a monorail system above the city to be tested. And its maiden voyage is taking place on this fine day. I need a name for the maiden voyage, for the maiden train, the monorail train. Who's got an idea?
The unicorn.
The unicorn. I'm not going with the
I was
unicorn.
gonna
I'm
say
going with the
something like-
unicorn.
All right, fine. The unicorn it is.
Yeah. It was
I
the
was going to
first
say,
thing.
the only thing I had was Titanic, and that's just, for comedy, so
The land ship.
Unicorn's
Titanic.
much better.
Yeah.
Technically, the Titanic hasn't happened yet because it's 1907. Even if we were in the real world, the Titanic hasn't happened.
Anything can have happened. We can make up whatever we want.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So the unicorn, the maiden voyage of this monorail system above the city. It's only a small section. There's been a lot of construction over months and months, and a huge amount of investment. But the maiden voyage is taking place today, and crowds are gathered along the street. Fairs are built, mighty markets. It's every street, anywhere that can even just see this extensive, 4-mile track of monorail that's about to be tested. Anywhere that can even see it is turned into some kind of street fair or street party as people step out. Just any excuse really to have a bit of a party. Even people who even if you're only going to see it just in the distance, just glancing by.
As you eat street food.
Yeah. As the intention is simply for it to go from one end just to test the system and back again. It's been tested a few times, but this is the voyage with passengers. And as at the station end, where the monorail is returning back towards its finish, the mayor and a number of journalists and a significant number of periphery guards and people who are important here, dignitaries from outside, wealthy business people who are there to greet the monorail as it returns from its first voyage with its full crew and passengers, the first batch of passengers travelling from one end to the other. Stand there as the mayor speeches out through one of the complex wired I'm adding a little bit more tech and steampunk to this setting, by the way. Complex camera operating system which we're broadcasting out onto televisions and radios around New Fair. As they stand awaiting the return of the train, they see it approaching in the distance as people begin to cheer on the platform, before those who work here begin sort of mumbling to each other. Somebody runs in to keep track of monitoring of some equipment. Before somebody comes out from the station house and begins kind of ushering people back away from the platform edge and back towards the building. The mayor and his dignitaries and his staff are very, very put out and annoyed as they're all pushed back as the monorail doesn't seem to be slowing down as it approaches the station. As it passes through, still at speed, past the front of the station as everyone stands back in shock, into the station house on the far side. As the front of the monorail crashes into the safety barrier, tears through it as the train itself, the 6 carriages of the train itself, concertina up as it strikes through the concrete barrier, crashing into the maintenance and the warehouse storage area where the train was only meant to rest and come in for repairs. As it folds up, crashes out, spreads out across the train as the train derails itself inside the warehouse as the people on the station platform can only watch in horror before the mayor quickly kind of just grabs the camera he was talking to that is now pointed there and just drags it away.
Folks on me.
Yeah. You cannot help but be aware of this event. It is very public knowledge. Whether or not you attended in some way one of these street fairs, I leave up to you, but it is very common knowledge.
Yeah.
Obviously.
The next morning, it's all anybody can talk about. Christoph, obviously, a large rescue slash I can't think of the word right now.
Emergency?
Emergency effort is put forth. You're aware of several colleagues and elements of your hospital who have gone out. You yourself have not gone out. What's Christoph's speciality? You think you said he was a surgeon before?
Yes, I like to think that he's a surgeon. He's not incredibly patient facing. He's not like antisocial or anything, but he has more of a technical expertise than a social one, shall we say?
You were called in, as were any of your colleagues who were potentially called back to the hospital. Anyone who was on leave or anybody who wasn't on shift was called back into the hospital on a presumed emergency. I'm just going to adjust this quickly. Sorry. But you yourself have not been directly involved at all. Seamus, how does Candela contact you?
We have phones, I assume, yes?
Yeah, you can have phones, yeah. Landline phones.
Yeah. I think they have a landline phone. And yeah, I think there'd just be an obscure message. I think it'd just be like, yeah, there'd be a phone call, and if I wasn't there, it'd be like one of those like tape proper answering machines, and if I answered the phone, it would be like a monotonous individual talking to me, and if I didn't answer the phone, then they'd like leave a message like say, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, must have been the wrong number. I was looking for Frank," or something like that.
Sure. What was your take on the monorail situation? Where would you have been? For the,
if there's a lot of people there, I might have been working the crowd. I might have trying to do a little bit of street magic to kind of because where there's a crowd, there'll be a Seamus O'Connell. So I might have kind of done the old pick a card, any card sort of thing. I probably wasn't actually witness to it. I was probably like a street or so away, but I was there. If that makes sense. I was in the crowd, I think it's fair to say.
Sure. So I'm just adjusting OBS ever so slightly. I'm going to imagine that Bree similarly was working the crowd, but possibly for different reasons. But that's up to you.
Maybe in a different way.
Yeah, lots of wealthy types hanging around.
Yeah, here's the thing. So she wouldn't target anyone who seems down on their luck. But she also has been spending a lot of time with the pinboard recently. So she's not going to turn away from a nice, juicy buffet of fat open wallets. I mean, she's a professional. She wouldn't turn that down. And also there's street food.
Oh, face is frozen. That's why your audio has gone. Your face is not frozen, but your face has frozen.
Face's face is frozen.
Your audio is back. But at the very least, we can hear the two of you. So that's something. We'll just... Sure. Obviously, all hell broke loose after the crash, and the periphery quickly locked down the area, ushering anyone away who wasn't required, and you were forced to head home. It's obviously all anyone can talk about. It's all over the radio. His face has turned into a giant S. It's all over the radio. It's all over the television. It's all anyone can talk about. And should we give Face a second? Because I was going to cut to him next. All right. Well, how does in that case? How does Candela contact you? What are Bree's living conditions? I'm actually curious about this. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, you're not using your microphone.
Not great.
I can
But
turn
it's literally just all face foods, so.
I can turn your audio on, so it's not a problem.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be back in 20 seconds.
The monorail crash has taken out signal throughout the city.
I know that it took it.
Oh.
It crashed right into the Skype station.
Right into the Skype office. The office of Skype. They have very tall windows. Oh.
That's me. There we go.
That foghorn later.
There we go. I couldn't mute my mic because the volume option was right in front of it, so I had to wait for it to turn away. Anyway, Bree's living conditions. So I like to think that anyone who passes by or is like a neighbor of Bree thinks that she must be like some rich heiress because she never seems to work, but she has money. Like she clearly just like inherited some money and just keeps to herself. She's not rich, but like she lives reasonably and doesn't seem to have to do much about that. But I think, I don't know. I mean, if Candela's main MO is calling people, I guess that's one thing. But I really like the idea of like a letter being shoved under the front door because that just feels fun, with like a wax seal, and it just appears under the door, and it's go time written on it.
That's what you'd prefer, sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
I don't give out my phone numbers. The librarian keeps asking for it, going, "It would really make communication so much easier." And I'm like, "Yeah, but the letters are cool."
You're collecting wax seals. All the wax seals you like take off and put a little.
I'm like Mel Gilroy's in Taskmaster.
Sure. Yeah. So you just get a note that sort of slides in the door. So you awaken this morning to see that at some point in the night someone has slipped a note underneath your door. That has I imagine it's something innocuous, like it's simply a kind of like a request for late fees at the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like your annual subscription is about to expire. Please renew.
Yeah.
We've been trying to contact you about your extended magazine subscription.
Similarly for Seamus, you get a phone call that says the volume that you were requested has arrived. If you would like to come and collect it. Christoph will be, I would say, is probably at the hospital because there's stuff going on. You haven't seen any direct results of the monorail crash, but again, it's all everyone's talking to, all everyone's been prepping about for the last 12 hours. As you're kind of on call, waiting for the next action in the doctor's lounge. Before one of your colleagues just kind of like storms past to make a cup of coffee and just absent-mindedly just kind of says, "Oh, can you believe this shit?"
Believe what?
The Periphery are turning away all of our emergency crews from the crash site. Every time we send somebody out there, they turn them back.
Did they say why?
Some kind of security risk. I think they'd want the help.
Security risk. Very strange.
Before a low level, an intern or a low level, one of the people that works at the front desk comes in Doctor's lounge, obviously looking for somebody, and spots you and comes over and says, with a little piece of paper in hand, just saying, just a message for you, Dr. Yorkdale. Something about a medical paper that was due for collection. No.
Yes. Thank you very much, Harvey. I will take care of it.
Which of you do you
And I get up. Sorry, I just immediately, having previously sort of, just been dozing, haven't been on call for a while, I just then, get up and start heading out.
Which of you do you imagine is the most likely to arrive first? Seamus, all right. Do you like to view yourself
I got a phone
as
call.
kind of the leader?
Well, no, but I got a phone call, and that's usually slightly quicker than writing out a letter and sticking it through somebody's door.
Okay, but the question is, what time of day was the letter slipped under the door?
Oh yeah,
You woke up and it was
Bree
already
turns
there.
up like 48 hours later here.
Yeah,
if
you
it
were.
was under the door at 6 o'clock, I'm not seeing that till 10.
Life
Okay.
imitates art, folks.
As Seamus is greeted by the librarian, who just gives you the simple nod and awaits at the desk as you head back to the way to where you find the obscure section of the corner of the library that almost no one ever goes into, where you open up the secret passageway in that classic way. Pull the right book, click, opens up into the private room. Whilst you await for the arrival of Miss Weathers and Dr. Yorkdale. And similarly, the two of you, unless there's anything you wish to do first, the two of you arrive at the library and make your way through to the back room, where the three of you then sit in the relatively comfortable chambers here. It's almost like a small house back here, essentially, like a little villa. No windows or exterior exits, so it's slightly claustrophobic. It's a bit of a bunker vibe, but you do appear to be. You have a comfortable. There's a kitchen here. There's sleeping quarters here, so you could stay here if you wanted to. But yeah, you guys can relax in the sitting room, make some early morning tea as you sit there speculating about what's going on before the librarian himself enters. A tall man, coming in around 6'5", you estimate, in a ill-fitting suit. His age is very hard to determine. He's very grey-skinned and seems very put together and keeps himself very neatly shaven and everything. But his suits never seem to fit quite right. Like he's much thinner than he wants to appear. As he shuffles into the room and begins and just stands there before you. Says,
Librarian.
Sir,
Tea?
Good morning.
appreciated. I imagine you can speculate somewhat as to why you may have been called in this particular morning.
I suppose the unicorn's had its last gallop.
First and last, apparently. And as I'm sure you've heard on the radios and the news reports, that there have been no survivors reported.
What did they say?
Well,
So it was not mechanical then?
I think I have a little information that points us that way. See, the report of no survivors found is true. However, our agents within the periphery inform us that that's because no one has been found. Not a single shred of evidence of the 11 crew members and 17 passengers who were aboard the Unicorn's maiden voyage.
They all vanished.
So we are hearing, or at the very least, they got off of the train before it crashed.
Forgive the gruesome question, but is there any signs of blood or dismemberment?
We're somewhat getting
Or bleed.
we're getting second-hand reports here. Nobody hands-on yet. A number of other factions have been dispatched to look into more official clandestine reports, but you have been tapped as our, let's say, wet work team. We want you to investigate the situation hands-on, discreetly, of course.
Of course.
The periphery and the mayor's office are doing everything they can to keep this quiet. Amongst the missing, of course, are the mayor's wife, Matilda, a number of out-of-town dignitaries, wealthy types, people who invested some of the design team who were working, a number of journalists. People are starting to ask questions, though, and sooner or later somebody is going to want to hold a funeral, at which point the question of what they can hold a funeral for will arise. They can only keep this quiet for so long.
Have we a passenger list, a crew list?
It can be provided, yes. Nobody of immediate note, other than that they were all wealthy and important in some of their own way.
Considering it's a monorail, this is probably a very stupid question, but I do feel the need to ask. Did it make any unscheduled stops or detours of any kind we know of? Are all the eyewitness reports normal?
Well, eyewitness reports would be something that you would require you to gather for us at this stage. But the people that we had on scene, or people that we had at the thing, did not spot anything unusual. Of the 4-mile stretch that is currently open, there are currently 10 miles total constructed, but of the 4-mile stretch currently open, there is simply a station at either end. It left from the primary station, travelled to the other, and back again. Nobody got on or off. And there was a short stop at the other station where the crew did a quick maintenance check, so there are reports that everyone was on board there. It is presumed that somewhere between that station and the return, everyone either left the train or, as you say, simply vanished.
Well, I was there. There's not many parts of the track that weren't observed by some individuals. I'm pretty certain that the police reports will be doing the majority of the legwork to make sure they have individuals who can provide corroborative evidence for pretty much every single inch of the track.
If anyone says otherwise, are the periphery going to release that?
I'm not.
Given what I have heard, I highly doubt it.
Not to the rank and file, but librarian, you have ways.
They don't like us.
No.
The periphery, from what I have heard, are keeping the area of the crash site under lockdown. They're not even allowing medical personnel in.
Interesting.
There goes our way in.
Well, there goes one of the ways in.
There goes his way in.
That would make sense if there is indeed nothing for medical personnel to deal with. But again, our reports are sketchy and very second-hand.
I'll get your men in the police force to forward any information they have to you, and make sure it arrives here on the desk. And no doubt we'll go through it with as much fine-tooth comb as possible.
I am
I think our
imagining.
first case is to see what we can find at the scene, shall we? Doctor?
Question for the GM, for the lightkeeper or whatever the official terminology is. Given your description of the librarian, have I any reason to suspect that he is something non-human?
Ooh, let's make this. Let's. Why don't we have our first roll of the game? What would you like to test in that front?
Well, I mean,
I'm imagining survey or focus, depending on how intrusive you want your.
I imagine, obviously, this isn't the first time I've met this guy.
No, okay, so something cunning could work as well.
Well, no, I was thinking focus, for, sort of potentially having, read up on some things.
Just so you know, 6'5" is tall. It's not alien tall.
Yeah.
Slender man.
Yes, but
Slender
greyish skin.
man.
But greyish skin, consistently ill-fitting suits.
Yeah, he's definitely got a
Born
little.
doesn't see the sun, but fair.
He's got a little uncanny valley about him.
Hmm.
Okay. Alright.
So I roll focus.
Yes, let's have a little look at the old skill description, why not? See if it gives us any more details. But yeah, it's somewhat open up to interpretation simply because that's the narrative design that it's going for. But we have focus, inspect, analyze, remember. This action is all about your mental acuity and ability to identify the details of objects. So yeah, so inspecting an artifact, recalling a phenomenon's weakness, interpreting a grimoire. So yeah, so kind of inspecting. I was inspecting his kind of body language elements, although it's a little bit more. But it's a low stakes role, so I'll allow you to use focus for this.
Okay.
It's low stakes. He's not likely to, stab you up, but just looking at him a bit intensely.
Yes. So
He's the BBEG.
So I have two dice. So I have 2 dice to roll, and then I can spend drives. Is that correct?
You can spend drive. If you have a tick box on your focus, then one of your dice is gilded. You can spend drive now to add dice before the roll. But your drive is not going to refresh unless you choose your gilded dice, and then one drive will refresh.
I understand. Low stakes. No, I won't spend drive just yet, actually.
Yeah.
2 5s.
Okay. So 5 is a mixed success. So he's definitely human in the sense of he's not disguised as a human. But the impression that you get is he is probably his appearance isn't an accident. Your assumption would be that he has in some way been affected by something. He has been changed in some way. You've met a few people who have been affected by bleed, and it can cause physical manifestations. So yeah, best as you can say is that he's someone who has seen the effects of something unpleasant.
Interesting. Where would you recommend we begin?
I'll say, because you got a mixed success as well, that he has, somewhat aware that you have eyed him curiously and asked him some very leading questions in the past, but he doesn't seem to have taken offence to it. But he also does whatever it is, he doesn't seem to want to talk about it.
Taking his medical history.
I'm naturally curious.
Where you begin is entirely in your hands. Our agents in Periphery are doing the best they can, but they have no direct influence. The area has been locked down, and we don't want to push our luck too much in that regard. Similarly, anybody who we had in the mayor's office is far too low on the food chain to catch his ear themselves, but they are aware that he's calling the shots.
And also, for my own clarification, you said that the unicorn went. Did it go off the tracks? Did it crash into the?
It went through the station
terminus?
into the terminus building, and where it would have obviously hit the barriers, were the concrete barriers that are designed to stop it. Did indeed stop it, but then it just derailed. Obviously inside the station, so it didn't have any collateral. It didn't fly out and take out buildings and things. So in terms of crashes, it was contained. The track design did what it needed to do, which was minimize the damage.
Were any onlookers injured?
No, there were some staff inside the terminus, but they were warned in advance. They could see in advance that it wasn't slowing down, so they cleared out as much as they could. So assuming that what the librarian is saying is true, seems like no one was hurt by this. Which is
we can assume that that there was nobody on board to apply the brakes.
That would seem to be the case, yes.
In that case, we could probably limit down the place of disappearance after the monorail got to full speed.
I would posit that whatever or whoever caused the disappearance was either on the train when it first departed, or was smuggled on board at the maintenance stop at the other end.
If I had to offer an opinion, I would say your options were to either inspect the crash site, try and ascertain the location upon the rail travel itself that this supposed disappearance occurred, or investigate the manifest and see if anyone was a particular target.
Well, let's investigate the scene. Strike while the iron's hot. Or 12 hours old, but...
Not a bad call, but do be aware that it's a highly volatile location. The Periphery have, as the good doctor says, been turning away medical crews, so a stealthy approach perhaps is the way.
Getting into places that they're not particularly wanted seems to be an expertise of at least one of us.
Isn't that the truth?
I'm sure Miss Weathers will, as always, manage to use her skills for the betterment of mankind.
Yeah. Get in, see what there is to see, and go from there.
I'll continue to gather information here. Any questions or requirements, do let me know.
Carry on.
Understood. Right. Let's see whether this phenomena is going to be particularly deadly.
We'll see if those people turn up anywhere else. Do we?
Oh no, the doctor's also disappeared.
An epidemic.
So, do you want me to go in by myself? And then, whilst I'm doing that, you could look at the manifests.
I think the doctor and I should be close by. You might be able to get in fairly easily, but I'm not exactly beyond the possibilities of getting into places that I'm not necessarily required. Something wrong with Miss Mothers?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Just double entendres. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Let's go. Do we need to prepare anything? We're just scouting at this point.
Well, I do have up to gear choose up to 3 per assignment. So is that something we need to do now or later?
No, you can do it as it comes
No,
up.
we just do that as we go along. That's how we always pack our bags in flashback.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I forgot about the flashback mechanic.
The flashback bags. You forgot about the flashback bags.
Fine. Well, the terminus building is essentially a warehouse on top of a warehouse. Because obviously it has to be high enough up for the monorail, which operates just above the first level of buildings in this area. And it is cordoned off on all sides by the periphery. There are patrols on every street leading up to it. It's still nestled amongst the city, though, so it's not inaccessible via, from rooftop to rooftop potentially. Also, presumably, there's underground elements to it. So how you want to approach is up to you. But yeah, that's the basic setup. It's essentially a warehouse on top of a warehouse, almost like a warehouse on stilts.
Okay, well, I imagine that everything inside would be fairly strongly guarded if they're trying to keep everyone out. So warehouse on warehouse seems like the perfect time for some repelling action.
Batman style.
Is there a parallel building that's just as high next to it by any chance? Like if I go up a building next door, I could then rappel across from one window to another?
Yeah, that's very possible.
That is my plan then.
Boy, wait. One moment. I would like to choose one of my 3 gear options.
Okay.
And attempt to make use of it.
You're using your flashback bag.
What would you like to try and do?
I believe the technical term is bleed detector.
Your bleed detector is in your flashback bag?
I don't know what that is.
We just decided that's what it's called
The flashback
while you
bag.
were away.
I see.
It's a flashback bag.
Because
you don't have to decide now what it is. You decide as you need it, and then you go, yeah, I totally packed that.
Yes, sorry, I was hearing flashpack bag, and I was like,
Well, that's just silly.
I mean, who called it a flashback bag? I mean, honestly, Alex.
yes. Flashback bag. No, that makes perfect sense.
glad
I know
you
what that
agree.
is.
Yeah, obviously.
But yes, I would like to
Yeah, it tracks.
I would like to pull out a bleed detector that was gifted to me by a colleague when I performed some minor surgery on him off the books. And I would yes, I would like to I mean, I don't know how it literally just says bleed detector. I have no idea how powerful
I think
it is
we've
or
all
anything
got
like that.
bleed detector. I think bleed
Detect
detector,
bleed.
hand weapon, and bleed containment vial are all things that we've all got, isn't it? They're all options for all of us, aren't they?
Yes, that looks like it. Yeah, but the other 3 are different on each sheet.
I see.
I do also like the blank space underneath. So many possibilities.
But yes, I would like to attempt to scan the warehouse for any potential bleed Geiger readings, as it were.
Sure. What does your bleed detector look like? Is it more mechanical in nature? Is it something more magical? I mean,
I'm
Geiger
imagining
counter
a-
can be the reference point.
I mean, I'm imagining a yeah, sort of half divining rod, half Geiger counter. It's sort of a almost like imagine sort of a microphone with a couple of tines coming out of it, and then a small little box at the bottom, with a simple measure on it. What's the word for, it's not a dial, it's an indicator,
The gauge.
gauge, yes.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
So the three of you find a rooftop nearby, just outside the police cordon, just to try and so as not call too much attention to yourselves. Where Bree begins kind of planning her hardcore parkour.
I was thinking more like zip line, but if it's,
Oh,
if it's
zip line,
close enough
yeah.
together, if it's close enough together,
No.
I'll totally parkour.
Zip
If
line's
it's not,
almost
then-
certainly smarter.
Are there any
Can I count a zip line in burglary equipment? Because I feel
Yeah.
like there's got to be a zip line in there. Okay, I'll go ahead and tick that.
are there any periphery officers nearby at all?
On street level, yeah.
Is Bree in danger of basically being seen by them if they don't have anyone distracting them?
If one of them looks up as she sails across, very possibly.
In that case, I'd like to go and chat to the periphery officers.
That tracks.
Sure.
That would be helpful.
Makes sense. The doctor and Bree are atop the roof. Seamus kind of positions himself to act as a distraction as needed. As you fire up your bleed detector, it does have a very faint reading. Nothing that gives you like pause to like, there's a wormhole in the warehouse. But kind of as the background radiation kind of around as you are angled towards the warehouse, there is a slight spike, but nothing wild.
And no particular strength coming from one end or the other.
I think there must be a roll for this. I wonder if there is one. I don't think there is a particular.
Either,
Let me look it up in the old
perhaps either
thing. I don't want to get hung up looking at the book too much. I gotta say, there's a sense that the sense that you get could be the warehouse. It could simply just be because that's obviously where the monorail goes away from as well. Just somewhere in that direction. There is something that could be you. You're picking up the faintest hint of something.
Okay.
It's elevated enough for you to be like, well, it's something. Might not be much of anything, but it's something.
Well, there appears to be something, but I'm not getting any specific readings.
Well,
Wow, figures.
I'll check it out. Seamus, shall I give you 10 to get into position?
Yeah, by all means. Best of luck, Miss Weathers.
Dear.
Do you intend to get out the same way?
Probably. If not, I'll improvise.
Then I will wait here, unless improvisation turns up.
I'll unhook the zip line from that end. I'm not going to just leave it here. If you don't see it come back and, quickly followed by me in, let's say, 20? For giving 10 for Seamus, then 10 for me to get in. Yeah. I'll check in 10 minutes after I go in. If I don't, then find Seamus and see what you can do.
Very well. Be careful.
I will. I'm always careful. You too? That's not too personal to say.
At this point, she was going to come back towards the conversation and go, right, you're still here, Wish Mothers.
We said 10 minutes.
I was expecting you to have left by now.
No, we said 10 minutes for you to go, get into position, distract the... Was that not the plan we made?
Why you... Fine. I thought you were going to get ready in a position to... Not a problem. Right. And I will...
Go back and ask for more directions. Sorry, I forgot totally what you were telling me. So, okay, yeah. So, in that regard, so you're going to be... Emily's going to be making a move roll. And Face can assist by spending cunning drives, if you would like, which I believe you have a special ability for as well.
I have misdirection. When I use my words or action to distract a target from what is actually happening, make a hide roll. The first cunning I or an ally spend on this roll is worth 2 dice as opposed to 1 dice. And my hide is a dice of 1 but gilded. So what does that mean?
It's still just a dice, a 1 dice roll, but the gilded, if you use the gilded dice, you gain back 1 drive up to your maximum. So there's no harm in spending a drive necessarily.
So I might as well drive. I might as well roll it with the gilded dice and then roll 2 extra dice. Is that how it works?
I'm just going to read this in this book here, just to make sure.
So I'm not. Normally,
it might be slightly better worded in here. Let's find out.
Normally with hide, I'd roll a single gilded dice. But if I spend cunning on it instead, I can instead roll 3 dice, 1 of which is my gilded dice. Yes. That is my understanding of it. I do not know why I'm doing the doctor's accent, but
well, you might. It is infectious, if you'll pardon.
Yeah,
the
I think that does seem to be the wording. So yes, I think that makes sense. If you spend a drive, you get 2 extra dice.
Cool. If the doctor starts speaking like Sean Connery, we'll know. Okay, so 3 dice. The metal is the gilded one. Okay, I've got a 4 on the gilded or a 6 on another one. I'll take the 6.
Okay.
I'll drop a point to drive. I'll lose the drive, and I'll take a 6. Splendid.
We do have a pool of soy gilded dice to use as a reminder.
Exactly, but I'm not going to use it until it's a high stakes roll.
So yes, you've headed down into the street beneath, between these 2 buildings, where there are a couple of periphery patrols. How are you distracting them? Very successfully distracting them.
Gentlemen, please don't leave where you are. You're in a very important place there. I just clearly. I'm just curious as to what's going on. I was here when the actual event happened in itself, and I'm just going to basically talk to them and not really give them a chance to say anything. Every time they open their mouth, I'm like, oh, of course, don't. I basically kind of like just steamroll over any conversation, but in a polite and charming way. And every time that they look like they're about to raise an objection, I'm like, of course, I won't be long. Don't worry about it. But quick question. And I'm literally just going to be asking inane questions about what happened, keeping their focus on me the entire time.
It's middle of the
What
day.
was the weather like?
Yeah, it's middle of the day, and you have come across two individuals who look like they've probably been on here for the night shift. So they're pretty groggy, and they're actually slightly welcome of the distraction. They almost kind of lean into it for you. So yeah, so they are quite happy to indulge you.
Can I
They
get
can't really see the harm
can I
in
get
it.
any information from? If they got any information to give me about what's been happening here? I mean, I know my intention is misdirection, but I'll quite happily roll another check afterwards if that's going to help.
I think they don't have a huge amount of no. I'll just keep it. We can keep with the current roll you've got. They don't have a huge amount of information, and obviously not going to tell you anything secret. They do let slip that they don't much see the point of all the cloak and dagger. Before they kind of like keep stum about it. They don't. It does. You get the picture. They don't really understand what's going on. There's a lot of I'll tell you the useful information you do gather is that there's a lot of contradictory information flowing about the periphery, and you get the impression that some people are in the loop, some people aren't, and it's causing a lot of confusion within their ranks, which potentially you could take advantage of later. So there's people who don't seem to know things, who aren't sure why they aren't allowed to know things, or they've been given their patrols and they're not allowed to go inside each other's patrols, and they're just kind of sort of unclear why this is being handled in such a very strange way. They've also been told, as you already know from the doctor, turn away medical personnel who come to help, which they're like, why are we doing that? So you can see they're not the periphery are not a unified group. There's some disorganization here. This cover up is being very hastily put together.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, in that case, I will just continue being charming and suave for as long as I can get away with, giving Bree enough time to get herself sorted.
Right,
And I need to find Emily a charger for her laptop. So bear with me a second.
This is going to be a move roll from Bree, and I will allow Seamus to spend further cunning drives as an assist action. So the way assists work is that if you're helping each other, you can spend drives of your own from the logical section that you are assisting with to add dice to each other's dice rolls. So if you want to spend...
you can't. I'm just saying you don't actually have anything that allows you to spend cunning as opposed to nerve, do you?
No. I mean, unless I'm hiding because I'm sneaking.
No, this is a move action, definitely, to get... This is essentially an athletics check. You can spend drive from your nerve to add dice to your roll, and if Face would like, he can spend drive from his cunning to also assist you. But that's entirely up to you.
I'm going to say no because I want to spend it all at once. So
yeah, I'm feeling alright. I have 2 dice. Everything's
Bree,
fine.
You should have
Famous
one
last
resistance in nerve and one resistance in cunning as well,
Ah, right.
because you get one for every 3 drive you have.
Remind me what that does.
You spend it to re-roll your dice.
Cool. Good to know.
Up to your skill
Right.
roll.
Let's roll some dice and see what happens. Okay, well, I got a 5, so we're gonna go with that. We're gonna ignore the 2. It doesn't matter.
Okay, now I already know what our mixed success is here. So this is a standard stakes mixed success. So you have basically got a Batman grapple gun.
Uh-huh.
I'm into it. As you line up, fire the grapple across as it crashes through one of the busted windows on one side of the warehouse and hooks itself into the framework. Before you attach the gun itself around the brickwork of the edge of this rooftop that you and the doctor are on. Before you mount onto it and zip line across. As Seamus sees you in the background of his conversation, just across, and impact against the window on the other side. Which
I am the night.
yeah. Which, as you kind of hit it, it does crack and open slightly. You can see its hinges are on the top and middle, which you were not expecting. And as you hit it, it kind of spins slightly, and your grapple hook detaches from this end and swings down as you just grab onto the window and swing like a secret bookcase all the way around. So you're now holding onto the window, but rotated inside the building as your grapple hook drops to the ground below. And automatically retracts into your device as the doctor watches. Your grappling line no longer available to you. That escape route not immediately available to you anymore.
Okay,
You're in the building.
Okay, so I'm going to gracefully get to the floor, look out the window, and then through a series of elaborate gestures, just go. My thing right there. Pick it up and grab it for me.
I'll allow you to make a sway roll to try and convince the doctor if you need anything. If you want to convey anything more complicated than that, I'm going to say the doctor's smart enough to realise that he should take the grappling gun with him.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But if you want to convey any more of a message than
I have a 0
that,
in sway. This will be great.
all right. Then
You
you've got to
actually get to
roll.
roll
You
again with
can
zero
either
in
roll
You take the
2 dice and take the
You roll
lowest,
disadvantage.
Okay.
or you
It's
can
I-
add. You can spend drive.
I'm not adding drive for this. I got a 4 though.
Okay. So a
How many times do I have to tell her I don't read lips?
mixed success. If you want to convey a single other detail of this, you can tell he's going to pick up the gun and leave the roof because there's no value in him being there. He's not planning to Batman himself across. If you want to take a moment to convey one other instruction that you might need him to follow, I'll allow it. If you want to convey a second instruction, you're likely to call attention to yourself.
Okay. The one instruction I will say 10 minutes downstairs. I'll assume that we've sort of scattered out the entrances and exits, so I will indicate the southern exit is my aim that I'm going for. So if you don't see me there, something's gone wrong.
Okay. So you get the gist of like south exit 10 minutes. You
Yeah.
kind of get, that's the rough idea before you start hearing movement behind you inside the warehouse, and you have to duck down out the way and scurry into a hiding place inside. And Doctor, you're like, okay.
I guess.
So you pick up the.
This is what happens when you're the brains of the outfit, and I head down to the street, retrieve the grapple gun, and make for the southern exit.
So you meet up with Seamus on the street side as he is finishing his conversation with the police officers. Just kind of ready to.
Oh, no.
See how it went. What's going on? Private conversations.
Emily's
My
laptop's dropped down and the various chargers that we're trying is not working. So Emily's going to have to go downstairs and get her actual charger, sadly.
Can we not just unloop that one?
That's,
Or is that like hardwired in?
well, it's hard. We can unloop it, but where it's wired into is still there.
I could just get my charger.
You can get your charger, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've still got 20%, so we can stay with me, or if the narrative is shifting away, then I'll go get it. But I've got some time.
I can shift to the other two for a moment.
Yeah, go for it.
So Seamus, you see the doctor exit from this building back out onto the street. At which point you kind of like thank the officers for the.
Oh,
for their
thank you very
help.
much indeed for your time, and by all means, of course, if you know, I'll be in the Old Vic in the next couple of weeks. So by all means, pop down and when you do, wave hello, and I'll see if I can get up on stage.
You can see them attempting like to palm a card as you've been
Yeah.
as your conversation ended with you trying to teach them how to hold a
Yeah.
card behind their fingers.
So what you do is you and then you go, aha, you see, that's what. Yeah, not
As
successfully.
as the two of them there,
Is
you
that-
leave the two of them goofing around with that on the street side. As you scurry away to meet with the doctor.
How did our Miss Weathers get on?
Well, she's in.
Why do you have her?
Don't ask. Don't ask, I say, stuffing the grapple gun into my flash backpack. She just said, or at least I think she said,
I hope she said.
oh good, you are listening. She said, well, at least I think she said, give her 10 minutes, she's going to get out via the southern exit. If she doesn't, something's gone wrong.
Understood. Well, let us perambulate to the southern exit then, shall we, Doctor?
Indeed. And I just take out my large thermos of coffee and swig it like more like a whiskey shot than anything. But
You can see that the exits from the building are obviously well guarded. They're the area where they're keeping their most with regard to keep people from coming in and out. And there are wagons parked on the street on this side, and there's you can clearly see people moving both inside and outside. So you know that the egress of Miss Weathers is potentially not going to be the easiest thing in the world. So a plan may need to be formed there. As the two of you stand back on the street as close as you can get without calling attention to yourselves. As you look
I
through
assume that the
unlikely
southern.
exit.
I assume that the southern exit is the one that's got the least people on, because that's the one that Bree would have chosen for a reason. I know that Emily randomly picked it, but Bree would have picked it
But yeah,
for a
it would
reason.
have been the one that she would have seen was the easiest one, or the one they were moving boxes through, or something like that. The Freydeck entrance, the staff entrance.
But there is no unguarded entrance.
Yeah, no, there's definitely people there, but yeah, it would be the one that, for whatever reason yet to be determined, would make the easiest.
If you have an idea of what you think made it the easiest option, or made it a viable option.
I mean, if there's like any sort of things being moved in and out, any crates,
Like
any
traffic,
trolleys.
The most trafficked entrance.
Yeah, any sort of crates or trolleys that I could climb in and be wheeled out. That's my ideal goal.
Okay.
Well, how about we deal with your egress after we deal with what you find there?
Well, no, because you guys need to be while she's doing that. You guys need to be thinking of an escape plan.
Oh well. I mean, to be fair, it'll probably be feigning a heart attack.
I'm imagining that O'Connor's and I are like sitting down at sitting in a cafe or something, like just having a coffee or something similar, and staking the place out. As such, I have a few ideas, as I'm sure Face does.
I mean, I'm also not above stealing someone's hat and just walking out.
Like, officers.
Works for me.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely an option. Right. So inside, you hide away as a patrol passes by, and next time you glance out the window, the doctor is gone. So you hope that you just cross your fingers at this
He got
stage and
me.
hope that he's doing something useful.
He
Before
got
you
me.
make
He's
your
fine.
way,
The repelling gun is gone, so he at least got that part.
before you making your way further inside the warehouse. Inside this is, as you imagine it, it's the terminus of the line. It's where the line ends here. There's a split track just at one end where you can see the train is designed to be taken off into a variety of different alcoves, presumably for maintenance or simply overnight storage or when it's simply not being used. It's a very functional space. It's a maintenance yard. It's not designed to look pretty or for anyone to particularly spend any time here. It's a purely functional selection of hefty looking cranes and mechanical gear, machinery and components, as well as a few half-constructed train carriages that are either prototypes or ones that they can be swapped out at some point, or simply there for spare parts. The wreck itself, as you could move about the landing that you were on and could look down into this warehouse, is still there. The front carriage, obviously it's very hard to move. The front carriage is half destroyed, just crushed up and split in half as it impacted the metal barrier at the front of the train and then flipped over. The rest of the train is clearly wrecked, but is not in pieces. It's largely intact. It just has come off the rail, spun up on itself, and slid out across this yard. It looks like you could still get into it. Most of the carriages look to be relatively intact, albeit crumpled and smashed. The windows are all broken. It's a silvery looking machine. There are 5 carriages in total, including the destroyed front engine. That looks like it runs on some kind of electrical system. You presume that runs through the rails itself. There doesn't seem to be any other elements. It doesn't have a big steam engine on the front or anything. It looks to all be designed to be powered by the rail itself, and there's no external forces. It's how it works. You have absolutely no idea. You can look at it and think, this is like way more advanced than I thought it was. And even then, in public
Here's running
knowledge,
some form of electricity.
yeah. Even then, public knowledge is that it was one of the most advanced pieces of tech that's ever been developed, which is why the city's put so much money into it. But yeah, the train itself, the 4 carriages that made up the bulk of it, and the back 2 carriages are almost practically intact. In fact, the back one is basically still on the track. It's just kind of tipped over to its side. The train literally just kind of folded up on itself as it hit the end of the barriers. But yeah, there are a number of guard kind of around the outside, and you can see a few people in more kind of lab coat setup who are poking through the wreckage. But mostly there's not too much activity out here at the moment. You can see that at the far end of them, like away from the train, there are a number of white plastic kind of forensics tents have been set up, and there's quite a lot of activity there. And occasionally somebody comes out and comes over to the train and like chats with the people who are examining the wreckage and then heads back again. But the train area itself is relatively quiet. You think maybe you might be able to get up to it if you were sneaky like.
Yeah, I think my priorities are I want to go in and I'm not going to be able to go in the train and see if there's any signs of forced entry because it's all smashed up, so that's not going to help. But just to sort of go in and see if there's anything, like if there's any evidence of any weird looking artifacts left behind, because I'm obviously thinking of, the turfless port key. So I just want to take a look. But barring that, you mentioned the forensics tent, would like to steal some documents from there, because then we can just do a dash and grab, and I can just grab paperwork, and we can, as a team, analyze it later.
Sure.
Those are my 2 immediate plans that I think are possible to accomplish in 10 minutes.
Okay. So would you try and get down to the train first?
Yes, I would like to sneak around into the train and just do some basic recon. Obviously, if I happen to overhear anything, that's also cool. But yeah, just getting the lay of the land, first of all.
Right. In which case, I think you need to give me a hide roll for your schnickiness.
For schnickerness. Well, one of those is gilded because I'm me.
Because I'm special.
Because I'm a special little girl.
What's the gilded? Metal.
Metal. Do I want to use a drive for this? This feels kind of important. And I might get it back anyway. Because I have it gilded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want someone to find me right now. So I'm gonna, right, okay. So I'm using a drive, which gives me an extra dice. Obviously that's not a gilded dice, so I'm now rolling 2 normal dice and 1 gilded. Yes? I'm understanding this correct? Wonderful.
Okay.
Oh, nice! The gilded one was my highest, and it's a 5.
Okay.
So I get the drive back?
Yeah.
You get 1 drive back.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that for me.
I love that for you too.
Thank you.
All right. I'm just going to have a little look at something. You don't need to know what.
For
It's
no
here.
reason.
For no reason.
No reason whatsoever.
I like having a pack of cards. It's
Gets you into character?
gets into character.
How many times have you dropped them?
7. Seamus is a good magician. Face is not.
So yes, you find a ladder down to the track floor, and make your way. Take the long way round past where the track heads out into the city, the shutters of which have now obviously been pulled down, so that no one can see inside. Before making your way onto the back carriages, the nearest one to you from this side, so you can enter through into the rear carriage, which is on its side. So essentially entering this tube car basically, but it's more a kind of Orient Express kind of luxury carriage inside, with this back car clearly being some kind of room for almost like a games room. So there's just a series of tables that you can see clearly they were designed for people to be sat opposite each other playing something. In fact, you can see that one of the tables has a chessboard built onto it, and there are cards scattered on the floor and bits and pieces here as you enter inside. But you've managed to get onto the train. Once you're on there, it kind of creaks and groans a bit, and so you get the feeling that it's going to be very difficult to sneak through here, because everything is broken and turned over. Now that you're on the train, you're probably not going to get very far without being spotted eventually.
Yes.
But no other complications that you are immediately obvious of.
Okay. So, what do we know about Blee? Because obviously he did the Blee detector from across the building. Would there be any benefit to me taking a reading inside as well? Or if there was anything, we would have detected it outside? I mean, we know there's a low level, but would there be any benefit to me doing that as well? Inside? To get a little scan?
If you wanted to have a detector, there's you don't know if there'll be benefit or not, to be honest.
Yeah.
Until you do it, you don't know if it's useful.
Well, no, that was sort of me asking, like, from a lore reason, like, how particular would these things be?
If you're closer to a source,
Is it possible
Or-
that it would be beneficial?
it's possible that it would, from this close vantage point, show up something that you didn't think of, that you couldn't see from a
Okay.
distance. You could also
that case-
simply make a sense roll. If you have anything in sense. If you have any sense.
I mean, I don't, but I'll totally use a drive to not roll at disadvantage.
She really doesn't have any sense.
The difference there, of course, is that you are rolling dice, as opposed to the bleed detector will just detect stuff. This is you attempting to psychically tune in to spot whatever it is. So you can take consequences. There are effectively no consequences from using the bleed detector, other than that it might call attention to yourself. But again, a bad dice roll could be bad.
Yeah, I don't think that Bree has gotten to the point where she's got any sort of innate detecting skills of the bleed yet. That seems like a bad life choice to go down that road. She has seen the consequences, and she does not want to do that. So yeah, I think having the bleed detector would make sense. I think Bree's is built into like an arm cuff. So instead of having any visual readouts or stimuli, and it certainly doesn't beep or anything, it's all tactile. So like it gives a sort of like guidance to like if she pulls her arm up like this, she would feel a pressure on the left, and that would tell her, okay, I need to go turn to the left, and it's like that way. Or if it turns to the right, it would be like, okay, I need to turn this way. But it's all tactile rather than anything that gives any sort of thing that could be detected by anyone else.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so yeah, so you stand in the back of this car and activate this device upon your arm, and you're familiar feeling of activating as it just tightens ever so slightly, almost kind of like it's just shifting on your arm, and immediately just all the in that spider sense way, all the hairs on your body just kind of stand up on end, as if there's a constant static charge all around you that just kind of like, so now with this detector on, you can now kind of feel this energy in the air, like you're surrounded by static charge basically, and just pulling at you ever so gently. There's just something in the air here, some kind of energy in this place that can definitely be utilized or tapped into in some way.
Okay.
And it's it just is here. It's an almost overwhelming sensation if it wasn't quite so mild in its physical altercation.
Is it if I walk around the bits that are in the train, is there anywhere that's stronger than anywhere else? And then also, once I leave the train as well, does it have the same sense once I'm out as well?
Yeah, I think as you kind of standing there, you just take a step back and just lean out the back of the train, and immediately outside the interior of the train, the feeling just goes. If you even just like put part of your body outside, it's not there. This is very clearly contained within the train cars.
Okay. Interesting. Cool. So I found that I really don't want to spend too much time in the train, because if I do, it's gonna get loud. And I don't want to do that. So I think now that I've decided that, well, I do want to, okay. Can I also do a quick like survey to see if I can see anything else?
Yeah, can make a roll.
Yeah.
So you want to try and survey. So situational awareness, where you can recognize important details in your environment.
Yes.
Right,
So
so
I've got that there's-
searching your surroundings for a clue is literally part of the description there.
I mean, yeah, that's the reason I'm here. So I've got that there's magic bleed energy around. I want to see if I can see anything, especially now that I've got the cup up. If there's anything that they've specifically touched or anything that's magic-y or even just something weird on the ground. I don't know, but I want to take a good look around. And in order to do that, I am going to spend a drive, not in my intuition because I can do that because I have street smarts. So I'm going to use one of my cunning drives to add to this. So I have 2 dice, neither of which are gilded, but let's see what happens. Oh, let's take the 6, shall we? And not the 2?
Woo!
Okay. Okay. As you
Certainly.
move through this car towards the next car, you can kind of see outside the windows. You can see some people moving about, but you also notice that you don't think there's anybody actually on the train currently. Just the people who are there, kind of moving around the outside of it. And as you can see, the next car is a more like a kind of a dining car. And you do. As you look through into the next car, you can see inside that car that there is a visible kind of shift in the air, just a sort of heatwave hallucinogenic state in there, and you do feel like the tension from your band is getting a little stronger, but this shift you can almost seems to be a moving element. It all seems to be like it's deliberately kind of moving about. It holds for a while before moving off again, but it seems to be moving from spot to spot for whatever reason.
About how big is this area? Like, is it person size, dog size, big as part of the train itself?
Person-ish size.
Bigger than a chicken.
Okay. Have we run into anything like this before? Are there like ghosts? That would be this.
Certainly, you've heard stories of the equivalent of ghosts, and you've seen some strange spirit powers.
Yeah, some sort of bleedy ghost spirit entity, also searching the train. That's terrifying. I'm gonna get out of here.
I'll also say that as you turn back, you notice that there's almost no connectors between the carriages. They're like physically clamped onto each other, but there's no obvious like wiring here. And as you look to one of the ceiling lights that is broken and fallen out, there's no wires inside it. It doesn't seem to be connected to anything. And similarly, there's like as you kind of spot that, you look over to a table lamp that's broken, and you just kind of give it a twist and pull it off, and you can see it has a bulb in it, like it was in use at some point, but it's not. Again, it's not connected to anything.
What? There's just a lamp there?
Nothing seems to be wired in. The lights that you can see don't seem to be wired in, and the cars don't seem to be wired into each other. And because you sort of start poking around, it's almost like it's sort of fake. Like there's nothing. It's all exterior. There's nothing inside. There's no mechanical workings to this train. It's all just
like it's a theater set of a train rather than a working train.
Yeah, like a model. Yeah.
How bizarre and concerning. Awesome. Okay, I'm just gonna file that one away. Model set not functional. That's great. Right, on to phase 2 then. So phase 2. Phase 1 is the train. Phase 2 is the forensics place. I would like to grab any files, any paperwork I can grab. I would also like to grab a lab coat so that I can walk out of here.
Okay. This is going to be a high stakes roll.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, it's still going to be a hide roll, I think, unless you have another way of trying to do this. You're trying to
Hide was absolutely my plan.
So yeah, your intention is to grab a costume or grab a lab coat from hopefully like spot something, grab it and just walk into the tent and be out before anybody notices you.
Yes, I would like to sleight of hand, sneaky, grab files and a lab coat. That is my plan.
Would you like to, for this high stakes roll, spend one of our gilded dice pool?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
don't forget you've got a 3-dice pool.
Yes, I would.
Are you spending any of your own drive for this?
Yes, I am.
So
the
that's-
maximum
if you
number of
spend-
dice you can roll is 6, just FYI.
Okay, I was going for 4, so I've got 2. I'm getting an extra one for my drive. I'm getting an extra gilded one. 4 feels good. Four feels good.
So you've
2
got
of them are
4
gilded.
and 2 of them are gilded. That's not bad. This is
Yeah.
high stakes.
Yeah.
And how much? Oh no, it doesn't matter because you can only get one drive back at a time. Ignore me.
But you can spend as much as you want, but you can only get one back at a time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about this.
I've given you my 2 sneakiest dice.
Cool, thank you.
Hey!
I got 2 6s.
And one of them's on a guild.
Critical success. All right, so you get your
Yeah.
drive back.
I
all right,
do.
so you exit the back of the train and move around the side as you can see 2 of the forensics team or scientists, whoever they are, who are examining the place. As they have been kind of climbing about, one of them kind of drops off the side and just kind of sweats his brow, takes his jacket off and just kind of throws it over a little bench is just nearby as he's just sort of sweating because he's been climbing on the top of the train.
And I just walk straight past and just...
As they start engaging conversation, you just literally just walk past, grab it, sweep it on, and walk straight round into the back of the tent, just brazenly, but absolutely no one turns around. People are coming in and out all the time here. There is a series of tables laid out, and you can see they are covered in what look like personal belongings. So there are bags, hats, a little makeup mirror that you can see, a pair of gloves. There seems to be like the personal, not like everyone's clothes, like they vanish from inside their clothes, but like clearly what are the personal belongings of the people who were aboard the ship that seems to have been taken out of the train. That seems to be the focus of their examination. And you can see, someone kind of taking as you kind of enter, someone who's there can just taking notes, and just kind of absentmindedly just steps up to you and goes, just take over for me, will you? And just hands you the clipboard full of notes. As they exit, as they make their way around off to where you can see the bathroom is labelled like the public restroom. There was obviously inside this working space. As he just kind of goes, rushes off to take a whiz. You know, standing there with this clipboard full of notes.
Okay, so I've got the clipboard full of notes, and I appear very science-y. I'll do some checks and just kind of take a few steps backwards, like I'm trying to get a better look at it. And then, do I feel good about the number of pages on this?
It's
like,
pretty
does
good,
this feel
but
like...
you have definitely got enough time to take something else if you wanted to. This is just a freebie.
Yeah.
You got this.
Yeah, I mean, if there's I want as much information as possible written down. If there's like a handover report, a briefing report, that's what I'm looking. I'm like looking for the summary of, here's all the things that we've found. Okay, I'm going home. Take it from here, bud.
Okay.
Like, I'm looking for all the information.
Here's the blueprints for the set.
You can see on the on one side of like the far end of these tents is this some sort of vaguely medical looking device that's clearly scanning things in some way, or clearly designed to like a giant like you don't know what it is, some sort of giant microscope or like X-ray machine or this. You have no idea what this tech is. It's beyond your understanding. But it's clearly that they are scanning things into it, and it is printing out reams of paper as they kind of examine things inside this device that looks to be relevant to whatever it is that they are examining.
Okay, well, I'll take a decent chunk of those, because my medical friend probably knows what that means. And if not, that'll say something in and of itself, won't it? Yeah, I'll take a chunk of medical readings. And then also, one final thing that I do want to take before I make my exit is the glasses off the table, so I look more appropriately science-y as I make my way out.
One of the scientists' pair of glasses? Do you want to try and find a pair of glasses amongst the personal belongings that are being examined?
If there's a pair of scientist glasses, that would make more sense and be less noticeable, because I'm sure they've cataloged all the stuff on the table.
Yeah, there's someone who's looking through who takes his glasses off to put them down on the side to look through put his eyes to a microscope lens as you kind of walk past, take the glasses, pop them on, like, oh, this guy's really blind, but it's okay. As
You're
you just,
such a thief.
This is full-on montage.
as
This
you
is just
yeah,
jacket on,
As
clipboard
there's-
on.
yeah. As there's maybe a couple dozen little stacks of paper from this printout machine, you just kind of grab a random one and tuck it onto your clipboard. As you make your way out the opposite side of these forensic tents and head towards the southern exit, where you can see there are periphery moving about, because you've got to go down to the ground floor from where you are here.
Okay.
Outside, the 10-minute timer is ticks on. You know she's going to be coming out. You have no way to communicate directly, but Bree's going to be coming out at some point now, you hope, assuming she's still on her way out. You have no way of knowing. So you've got to do that.
I have
now or
absolute
never.
faith in Miss Weathers, but just in case, I do have a bit of a flash powder and smoke bomb at the ready if we need to have a very loud and obvious distraction.
Yes, or we could perhaps, if we are looking for a more subtle approach, I could approach as a member of the medical community, and you could attempt to, I don't know, pretend to be someone important.
I'd rather not try and bamboozle my way past. I'm not the one with forged documentation. That's not really my style.
True.
Oh yeah, if someone's got a lanyard, I'm stealing that too. Thanks for the reminder. Seamus in my head.
Seems legit.
I need to walk past the police out of here. I'm taking the lanyard.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Seamus is all the is the Flash. He's not the con artist type. He's the misdirect. He's the look over here whilst something else happens. So I do have flash powder and smoke bombs should I need them. But I will get myself in a position where I can oh no, there's a fire, with all the smoke and like a oh sort of thing. Just I always say, oh no, there's a fire. I just went Christopher Walken. Oh no. But yeah, if need be, I will get ready to be the distraction if Miss Weathers is not capable of extracting herself. I of course, and Seamus has complete faith in Miss Weathers to be able to extract herself from the situation, because she has done so up until now.
Okay. All right. On that note, the two of you prepare yourselves for this distraction that you're semi-confident that will work. As you watch the door, expecting Bree to just kind of burst out at a full sprint. Yes?
No, never mind. Continue.
Was as you watch, you can see the door open, and as one of the periphery officers inside is holding the door for Bree, who's now in this lab coat, glasses, carrying a clipboard and some papers, as one of the officers who's inside opens the door for you. Just to be
Thank you.
Mom. as you step outside to the guards who are on the street outside, and they just give you a nod. One of them turns to you and just says, "Do you need one of us to drive you, Mum? Are you heading out?"
I'm actually getting a coffee next door. I'm really need caffeine, but thank you.
Oh, we can fetch that for you if it's easier.
Oh no, it's fine. You're terribly busy. I'm not going to stop you from doing your job. Thank you, though.
And they step back into their guard positions as you, Spree just casually just walks away, keeping herself a little bit up, trying to be a bit more upright and a bit more scientific in her gait.
That's how science people are.
Yeah. As the two of you just watch on before she rounds the corner towards you.
Hello, I'm Science Bree.
The things you get away with, Bree.
Yes. I have so many things to tell you and show you, but not here. Also, I do want coffee.
I sigh heavily and head back into the coffee shop to get one to go.
We'll cut back to the
You're a star.
to the hidden.
Because I know she can't afford it.
Yeah. We'll cut back to the hidden library room where you have got on the table there. You've got these papers laid out as you have been poring through them to try and make head nor tail of them. It does seem, as Bree saw obviously was in there, that the reports are talking about how there's no signs of a struggle. There was no evidence of like blood or anything inside the carriages. There doesn't seem to be almost no evidence that there were people in there at all, other than their personal belongings that were left behind, which presumably were things that they either weren't carrying at the time, or things have been put down, briefcases and packages, and a couple of hats and some small bits and pieces that presumably were just laying about on tables. But the people and anything they had on them seems to have either willingly left the train or just up and vanished instantaneously, with no sign of an attack or evidence of a struggle of any kind. There's a strange energy recorded from the inside of the train, which Bree herself detected, but also it's on anything that is taken out of the train. So all these personal belongings are being examined for this kind of what basically is low level radiation that they seem to have picked up from whatever happened. Any specific questions that I can answer as you pour through these things?
The printed out. Also, I assume, Bree, you've told us absolutely everything that you. Yeah. So the printed out pages, do I recognize them as being X-rays, for example, or something similar?
But the whatever the equivalent is in this kind of tech level, they are kind of a scanning, and they're an unofficial. It's essentially the periphery's bleed detection, although they don't know that's what it is. It's this strange background energy that they obviously record and they can't help but find in certain places. So they've obviously their equipment that is designed to detect and catalogue pockets of that, as well as kind of filter it out and time it and work out how long. It's a measurements of the energy level, which seems to be fairly low. And its decay and everything else. So effectively, it's they've got bleed detection devices. It's just that they don't, strictly speaking, know that's what they're detecting.
Okay.
And there's no on any of the personal belongings. There's no strange residue or unusual matter or anything like that.
Doesn't seem to be, no. It all seems to be just this energy, not
And
visually apparent.
is there anything of note on the documents. A manifest of the train, its crew, its passengers.
Yeah, you've got a list of all those people who you can refer to. The crew-wise, they were mostly just perfunctory people who worked on it, or would have worked on the monorail. A couple of the designers. Nobody senior from the company that runs it, and the mayor's wife, but not the mayor.
Ain't
as well
that
as a few
just
other
standard?
people. So
Is there
there's almost
anything-
an element of like nobody too important was on the train, but like people who were important enough that it looked like a spectacle.
Is there anything conspicuous missing? As in, like everybody would have a watch and there are no watches, or there are no wallets in the entire lot, or there are a load of handbags but a single mirror, for example. Is there anything that you would have expected to have been seen, left behind, that isn't there?
Detective.
Magician.
No magician.
Yes. Deal with it. 18 and a half years, deal with it.
No, nothing obvious. There's just a random smattering of things. Nothing that strikes you.
Okay.
I mean,
What is the most? Which document on the clipboard stands out the most? If at all.
I'll say that you have a reference of who is allowed where, and as you kind of also gathered from talking to the officers, the circle of who is allowed in any given place gets smaller and smaller each time. So the people who are allowed in the building was, the guards were outside, and the people allowed in the building itself was smaller. People allowed on the upper floor was even smaller. People allowed in the forensic sense was smaller still, and the people allowed to actually approach the train was even smaller still, just a handful of people.
And Bree.
And Bree. And
Any significant names on that list?
they look to be private. So most of the people inside that forensic team looked to be like they didn't work for the periphery. They were all, I want to say mercenaries, but
Freelancers.
Freelancers. That's the word. Privately hired freelancers who were hired and worked for the train company.
So, looking like we've got a load of paraphernalia here, which is not particularly interesting. Doctor, any of these pieces of items registering stronger in the old lead detector than the others?
Not as far as I am aware. I think that by the sound of things, the strongest bleed detection occurred when Bree was in the train car herself.
Looking like this is a bit of the initial foray is a bit of a bust, it seems.
I'll say it's interesting to note that nowhere does it bother to talk about the bleed detection of the train itself. That doesn't seem to be being documented, or anything about the train in particular. Nothing about the train itself seems to be being written down with any importance anywhere. Things were being brought out for this examination team, and that examination team weren't allowed on the train or allowed to document the interior of the train. Someone doesn't want too many people examining the train.
Because the train is a fake. It's a set of a train. It's a model of a train. Does anyone happen to know? I don't know. Your family is important, not really in politics, I guess, but do you know anything about the mayor and his wife? Did he like her? Did he have reason to want to get rid of her?
Do I have any knowledge in that respect?
Not particularly. You're not like friends with the mayor or anything.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that, but I do know a little bit about stagecraft. Would I know? There's got to be somebody who I know who makes sets, who designs this sort of stuff for a living. If not known an individual, there's got to be a place. There's got to be doors that I can knock on to ask questions.
Yeah, it depends how high up that food chain you're going to go. There's definitely like freelance level people who work on on stage plays and things and in theatres about the city. There's people who do like proper design work for the city. Is like what level are you looking to speak to somebody?
I'm looking for the person that would design the set on the Hippodrome, or who I've worked with in the past for some of my more fancy mechanical sets on the stage where I was pulling off some of my more audacious illusions and tricks. I'm after someone who, if I wanted to create a entirely fictitious monorail, who would I go to help me make it?
Sure. Okay. So people who are, you probably can't get to. Well, actually, you probably can to some degree. Get to somebody who knows somebody quite high up in that kind of world.
I have a theory.
Go on.
As far as I can tell, there are two potential possibilities. If the train that you encountered, Bree, is indeed a fake, then either it was fake from the very beginning, or it was swapped.
And a swapped train wouldn't have any brakes.
A swapped train would perhaps be somewhere where it is either where it is meant to be, or it was like one of Seamus's magic tricks. It was swapped out of sight. The only time I can think of that the train perhaps would not have been visible is at the secondary terminus. The report states that there was a brief stop there for some sort of maintenance purpose. Perhaps that is when a potential switch occurred, or a potential removal of passengers, assuming that they did not simply exit somehow mid-journey.
Did we? Has the librarian come back with our with any police reports and stuff yet?
What little they can get their hands on, yeah.
So, do we have people that were at the second terminus?
Staff of the monorail, yes, who were there to just simply oversee that everything was running efficiently.
And what do their statements say?
Simply that the train arrived, they did their inspection, checked in with the crew, including the engineer, and then the train left.
So, as far as we can see, according to this report, Doctor, the train left the station intact and with its crew, and we assume the passengers. Whatever happened happened between the terminus and its final terminus.
Are we also
Assuming that police report has not been falsified.
Are we also not going to talk about, I don't know, the ghost in the train that's also searching for things?
What do you want to talk about, Miss Weathers?
The fact that it was there?
This surprises you exactly?
What was it doing there? What did it want?
We could have hypothesized, of course, but it's not going to get us anywhere. We have no hard evidence to go on.
I guess it doesn't disturb anyone else who wasn't 5 feet away from a ghost.
Be the first time. Will not be the last.
I'll say from a couple of phone calls and a few inquiries and kind of cycling through the Rolodex in Seamus's head, you're aware that if there was a design job of that scale, it won't have happened without the knowledge of Abigail Sindal, who is one of the kind of runs one of the bigger design and architecture agencies, who has worked both officially within the city and also is a fan of the arts, and is somewhat Abigail Sindal, who is essentially somewhat the kind of the middle person. She's a patron of the arts rather than like necessarily a direct contributor, but if anybody knows something, it's probably her.
I know somebody. If this was constructed at some point, then I know someone who might know if that did in fact happen. Miss Weathers, obviously you're welcome to come along with me. Doctor, as are you. Of course, if you've got more investigation to do, then don't let me keep you from it.
I'll come along.
Best to stick together in these sorts of things. Although I would like to check out the secondary terminus.
Of course. So the lanyard that Bree pilfered.
Yes.
Is there a photograph on it at all?
Yeah, I assume there is.
Could we have spent
Doesn't
some
look anything
time
like her at
to
all. No one bothered to check
No.
it.
Could we have spent some time to replace that with a photograph of Bree
With glasses.
with glasses?
Science spray.
Something tells me that we've probably got a selection of photographs of Bree in a variety of guises by this point.
Yeah, no,
To be
easily
able to
enough.
swap in and out.
I think you can do that.
Okay. Do we need to make a roll for that, or can we
No,
walk
you
in
can
the
do that.
library and have been... Okay.
Before we leave the library, I would like to look for a textbook on ghosts and ghost detection, and I am willing to make this my relevant textbook option in my gear if need be.
Sure. Right, yeah, you can grab a couple of relevant texts.
Sure.
It's less.
I will
It's
also
less
say-
ghosts per se, as we would necessarily understand it, as it is a psychic energy that gets left behind in traumatic events when someone comes into contact with bleed. Ghosts don't generally exist, but when somebody comes in contact with bleed, it can cause a psychic rift. It doesn't necessarily mean they're dead. It can just kind of create an image of them. But that's what people would generally refer to as ghosts.
Right. That being the case, I will say, perhaps to save time, I could research further into this. I am willing to come along if you so wish, but perhaps my talents might be put to better use here.
Well, your presence is always appreciated, Doctor, but of course, if you feel that you could be doing better hitting the books, as it were, then by all means. In that case, Miss Weathers, should we go and see a set designer?
By all means, lead the way.
After you,
And
as we leave the room. Not lead the way to the set designer, but after
No.
you as we leave the room.
I understood that, but that was the reaction of, okay,
He's a gentleman. Ladies first.
okay.
it's so scary.
Heart all aflutter.
Just, are you trying to check out my? Anyway, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. She says, on fire.
As you as you make you the two of you find your way to this office building of this what is essentially a talent agency for professional designers, and Abigail Sindel, who is this older lady but in a slightly elaborate get up of this kind of multiple layered, unnecessarily ruffled and fluffy kind of business suit, or business like it's just it's like someone took a business suit and then like tried to turn it into a ball gown. And it's like, why would you do such a strange thing? But clearly something of her design, or something of a designer that she enjoys. As you guys have been kind of sat waiting in the lobby for her, as she approaches with her assistant, who, as you round the corner, her assistant kind of very deliberately making sure that you guys can't tell what she's saying, mumbles something, which you gather is probably a reminder of who you are. As she just kind of takes it in. And then purchases. Seamus O'Connor's, of course. We met at the Old Town New Year's party a couple of years ago, I believe, as the last encounter. You're quite the performer.
Why, thank you very much. And Abigail, may I just say how delightful you look today.
Well, very kind of you to say so.
I'm going to introduce my associate, Miss Bree Weathers. This is Abigail, surname whose I've immediately forgotten. But
Sindal. I was listening.
Seamus would have remembered, but face forgot.
And she looks at her. She looks at her watch and kind of like glances to the, but not really. She's actually looking at her assistant at the side of her eye, who mouths something to her. She says, well, I'm afraid I can only offer you 10 minutes, but we can, why don't we walk and talk? What can I do for you?
10 minutes would be absolutely delightful. Thank you very much indeed.
Are you putting on a show? You haven't been on the stage for a while.
Well, I've been working on some new tricks, but no, this is something else. My associate and I, we've been having a discussion with regards to potentially putting on a more dramatic performance. Not starring myself, of course. That's not really my area of expertise. But Ms. Weathers here is a bit of an up and coming actress. Obviously, it's very topical with the recent unicorn crash. So what we are trying to see whether we could perhaps do some form of play set in the unicorn itself. Bit of a dramatic. Kind of like almost a rendition of it. Give it a little bit of a strike while the iron's hot, if that makes sense. But of course, we want it to be as accurate as possible in terms of the set design. So I was wondering whether you knew anybody who would potentially have done something, maybe working on the unicorn itself, that we could speak to in any capacity.
I think this is going to require a sway roll.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Because you're basically saying, why don't we put on a play about the Titanic the day after the Titanic sank?
Yes.
Like, too soon?
This is very much the play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
Yep. I'm clearly driving this. It's going to be 3 dice, one of which is gilded.
All right.
I'll pick another dice. Oh, well, I'll take the gilded dice, but it's still only a 4. I'll give myself the drive back.
Okay. So as you say, she could just, as you're walking through the building to wherever her next meeting may be, she just stops in her tracks and just turns to you and says, "Mr. O'Connors, I feel that it's somewhat poor taste. The wreckage of the unicorn is, I imagine, still warm." Obviously, I can understand the desire to tell such impactful stories, but I don't think that would go down particularly well. And she kind of like glancing back out of earshot of anybody else.
I'll take it under advisement. Maybe not. We're not planning on putting it on tomorrow, you understand. This is clearly going to be something that we're going to be taking a long, long time to work on to get the stories just right. I'm sorry if I gave the impression that we'd be putting this onto stage in the next month or so. No, this is something we plan on working on and getting to the truth on the bottom of what happened before we can actually put on such a show. We're talking, years from now, but one needs to plan ahead.
Well, I don't quite know about that. This is, quite the ask. What are you looking for exactly? She seems genuinely disturbed by this inquiry.
Someone who may have done some work on the unicorn itself, the actual design of it, the interior work of it, perhaps mocking up a model for some description, for examples.
Well, there were some from my agency who did indeed work on some of the interior design aspects. All the construction was done in-house, I assume, but I don't think any of them would be willing to entertain such a ghoulish project at this stage.
Understandable. But maybe we could talk to them nonetheless.
Well, I can make some inquiries and see if any of them would be willing to speak with you. You can leave a number with the desk.
No, by all means, I'll give you my office number, and I'll give the number of the library.
Okay. Well, is that all?
For now, of course, but I'll let you know when I'm planning on my next big stage show, and I sincerely hope that I'll be able to put some less gruesome business your way.
Yes. Well, we're very busy. But yes, someone will be in touch.
I've taken up too much of your time. Thank you.
She just nods and begins to scamper away with her assistant, who kind of looks a bit. That was weird. Yeah, so you've clearly you've disturbed her, but you hope she's going to still do what she said. But
hey, I got a success, so
took her aback a bit. You may have she may look at you in a different light next time you come to her door.
Like she can remember me.
Oh, she'll remember you now as the man who wanted to make a play about the train crash the day after the train crash.
Yep. Cool. So I guess we head back to the library?
That went well.
I believe so.
If that's what you'd like to believe.
Getting the information, aren't we?
Are we?
She wasn't going to give us any information any other way, was she? So.
A lead is a lead.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Let's sincerely hope the doctor's got a little bit further on than we have, otherwise we're going to be walking the tracks of midnight with our bleed detectors out.
Not a bad idea. Should I have spoken or tried to connect to that thing in there, do you think?
No.
Good. That would have been silly.
Always. Come on, Miss Mothers. Work to be done.
All right. Seeing as the doctor has spent his time doing some more research, do you have any questions that you would like to be answered?
Is the presence of these psychic residues, these bleed residues, is it indicative of holes in the veil? Is it indicative of
Yeah, it's indicative of what is
like my
generally referred to, and I might as well try and get this right.
Phenomena.
Phenomenon. It's a phenomenon.
Uh, looking somewhere. Yeah, it's generally referred to as a kind of phenomenon that would have a specific origin point. So it would be a break between the veil and this reality that has, but it's a fixed point where that bleed occurs. It's not kind of a roaming artifact.
so the flashpoint, as it were, would be would probably be in that vicinity.
That would be your assumption.
Like the right. So assuming that there was something bleed related that happened on the train.
Yeah.
It would have happened on the train. It was near the back. So again, either something that was... I want to look at the... I want to look at the passenger, or indeed the passenger and the crew manifest, and check if he's around. Check with the librarian to see if any of the names ring a bell. If any of the names are on a Candela watch list or anything of that nature.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you can kind of isolate the crew. Seem, other than that they work for this company, just seem fairly innocuous. The passenger list is either recognizable dignitaries or celebrities, other than the two designers who presumably work for the company, and a couple other people. But there is as he kind of cycles through people, he gets to a last couple of the passengers, and he just hesitates to give you those details, and he probably just says, perhaps we should discuss this when the others have returned.
Oh, hi. We had a really great conversation. She thinks that he's absolutely abysmal human being.
About standard.
Your words, not mine.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure those were the exact words she was thinking, if not saying.
The librarian here was just talking about, well, something interesting related to these particular names here.
Oh?
And he steps over to you, Seamus, and hands you a piece of paper with their details, as well as the fact that they are indeed on a Candela watch list. And he just kind of says to you, your call on how to proceed, sir. As you can see, amongst these people's known associates are the Yorkdales.
Wait, is it? Shut up.
They weren't on the train. They are just known associates of these two individuals who
Right,
were
okay.
on the train.
Okay, it wasn't me.
And he's only showing.
Just showing it to Seamus.
He's only
But
showing.
it's very
Seamus.
clear that he's
Yep.
showing Seamus something secret in front of the two of you.
Interesting. I put it down in front of the doctor.
I turn slowly to look at Seamus.
Miss Weathers, and I'll slide over so you can see as well.
You read it upside down.
I assume that you don't consider this a coincidence, Seamus.
I don't necessarily believe in coincidences, but at the same time, let's not leap to conclusions.
Regardless,
I'll add as well, they were apparently guests of the monorail company. In what capacity is unclear, but they were requested by the owners of the Unicorn to be aboard.
the Yorkdales were.
Yeah. No, not the Yorkdales, the associates of the Yorkdale.
Oh,
Who need names? Quick, give them.
Well, I guess we now have two angles to go down. Speaking further about
this whatever psychic bleed residue you encountered, Brie, from my admittedly only academic understanding of distracting orange cats, admittedly of my academic understanding of bleed and magic, the after effects do not wander far from the source.
Doctor,
As
would
su-
it make sense for if there was a localized phenomenon and the monorail moved through it, perhaps, rather than a source that took on the entire train? It was a local, fixed point in time and space, and the monorail passed through it.
I suppose that would be possible, but this after effect that we saw, it was at the back of the train. If it were a fixed point, I would have then assumed that the front of the train would have been the thing first affected.
Do we have evidence that it wasn't?
No, but we don't have evidence that it was either.
Well, if
But
the theory is that there was a location that it went through, then it stands to reason that the front of the train was affected first. I mean, does it matter the order in which it happened?
Well, yes, because again, the after effects are not found far from the it's the event horizon, if you will. As such, if the event horizon was at the back of the carriage, to me that would suggest something inside the carriage itself, rather than moving through some sort of invisible pocket of energy.
If an immovable rod was clicked on a boat, would it stay on the boat or would it go on?
I do not know this immovable rod of which you speak, but there is something about the train. The train was not allowed. These documents that you are covered by, they indicate that the periphery kept everything what is the word? In strata, stratiated. There were specific individuals allowed outside the building, inside the building, on the second floor, in the forensics tent. We know that the periphery are attempting to cover things up, and it may seem to be a simple suggestion, but well, if we are not exactly certain what caused it, then we should investigate who caused it. And who would have power and reason to create such a conspiracy and cause such individuals to disappear.
You hear a ringing phone in the background, and the librarian looks and just steps out.
I said we've got two angles of investigation. One, as I said, we walk the track, see whether we can find a localized pocket, or if we assume that it actually occurred in relation to an individual, then we'll see when we trace down the people involved who may or may not have been of interested parties. And of course, we've still got the possibility that we know that the whole thing's been a setup, because the actual monorail itself has been a set design by somebody for who knows what.
The librarian steps back inside. Somebody on the phone for you, Mr. O'Connor's.
Fingers crossed it'll hopefully seal off the last one of those avenues. Please excuse me, Doctor, Miss Weathers. Yeah, I go to the phone.
There's a slightly panicked male voice on the other end. It just says, "Hey, so you're the guy I was asking about the design of the train.
Indeed I was, sir. Thank you for calling me.
What was your interest in it?"
It's come to my attention that the train itself might not necessarily have been as whole as it should have been.
Yeah, I thought it was just too weird for somebody to be asking those kind of questions, and I knew there had to be something else. Meet me. I'll meet you out the back of the Old Oak Tavern. There's a quiet alley there.
Old Oak Tavern, Wide Alley.
After dark.
Well,
After
how
dark.
will I
I'm not coming out.
recognize
I'm not coming out before dark. After dark.
Naturally. And how would I recognize you, sir?
I don't think there'll be anybody else there.
Understood. In case there is, I'll be the one with the red rose in my hat.
Yeah, sure, whatever. And then he hangs up.
Well, as I walk back in, we might have a bit of a lead after all. The alley behind the Old Oak Tavern. I think it's probably best if I go at least seemingly alone. He seems a fairly flighty chap. Miss Weathers, I assume that you can get somewhere fairly close by without being spotted?
Naturally.
And a doctor, it's in the tavern. I believe that there's probably a pint with your name on it.
After the day I've had, that sounds like a good idea.
What time is it now, Christian?
We can cut to that if you have anything else you want to do today. Probably.
I don't know. Do we have anything else we want to do today?
No, it seems like a good lead. Unless, yeah, I don't think we necessarily want to go talking to baddies.
You mean Alex's parents? Sorry, Yorkdale's parents.
Do we have a name for the people who were on the train on the watch list?
Barretts.
The Barretts. I mean, again, not that we're going to talk to them, but if there was like a third person that was known to like be in their clique, it could be interesting. But I would not advocate for doing that right now. So let's cut to the pub.
The doctor settles himself down inside as Bree discreetly hides in the shadows, whilst Seamus unapologetically just wanders into the alley to await for.
With
this
a rose in
meeting.
my hat, of course.
What are you wearing? No, don't answer. I don't want to know.
As you wander down this darkened alley at the back of this pub, you kind of just glance out a bit for a moment before, through one of the little alcoves, there's this voice, and you can see this young man in his 20s, kind of simply dressed in this second-hand suit, no tie, just steps out and says, "Oi, you're the guy I spoke to on the phone."
Of course. And I very calmly walk towards him.
Oh,
Thank you for meeting me.
no, I've been hoping someone would ask. I just wanted to talk about someone about this. Like, it was so weird.
Yes.
Well, what do you know?
I know the monorail that is currently residing in the terminus is not quite how it should be.
No, it's precisely how it should be. That's the weird part.
Interesting. Tell me more. Well, first of all, whilst I fully appreciate the clandestine nature, there is a very lovely pub that we're right next to. Maybe I could treat you to a drink, maybe a meal, sir.
No. This. We do this here and now, and then we never speak again.
By all means. Do you mind if I take notes?
Yeah, sure, whatever. There was a bunch of us working on it. We were hired to do the design, just aesthetics. Just wanted to submit ideas and how they wanted it to look. All the technical stuff was being done by their teams, but we weren't. The asks just were really specific, and a few of us sort of questioned about the logic of some of the choices. But it doesn't matter to us. We were just sort of, we were just woodworkers and fabric makers and painters and whatever the hell else was in our little group. But yeah, they wanted us to design and start building things and shipping to them, but they wouldn't let us in. They wouldn't let us see the train or anything, which we thought was weird. We were just handing stuff over, and we presume they were installing it. I don't know. But
What were you designing? Just designing the chairs, the tables?
yeah,
Any of the
everything. They wanted everything custom made, but God knows why.
But just the decoration. You weren't dealing with any electronics or anything, were you?
No, nothing like that. They weren't even specifications for us to accommodate those things.
So you just build a lamp without any wire, is it?
Yeah. They didn't seem to matter to them. It was just, I don't know. They didn't seem to make accommodations for outlets or. They gave us the spec of the space and told us to just fill it. Did we need to worry about technical issues? It's apparently not. And the team got smaller and smaller and smaller as kind of we became less necessary, until there was just a few of us, and they started letting us, get a little closer and closer to the train itself. I was working late, and yes. That's when I saw it.
Sure, what exactly?
A train. It wasn't fully made, but it was like a carapace, and they were just laid it out like a set, like it was just like a fake, like a model, like a construction. It had, and everything was open, but it had nothing in it. The engine car was hollow. It was just an open space, and they it was the one thing that we weren't asked to work on, and before they attached it, somebody came by, and there was, I don't know, a dozen or so of them, and they lay their hands on the outside all along, just spread out, and the thing powered on, and the engine car wasn't attached. The lights came on, it attached itself to the rail, and then they just walked away.
What do these people look like, son?
I was too far away. Just people.
And speaking of people, who exactly was the person that employed you for this?
I mean, just through somebody at the company, some middle management HR's person, someone or other, who contacted Abigail and then hired us out.
Did they ever give you get a name at all?
No, I don't know. It's Richard something.
Richard, understood. And where exactly was this where you saw the train powered up by these people?
It was in the
Incidentally-
terminus, in the terminus where the crash happened.
I would like to subtly use I'm going to have. Did I have acquired the bleeds detector from Bree, and try and see whether he's come into contact with it?
Yeah, you can have done.
Cool. In that case, I'd like to be, whilst I'm talking to him, I'd like to basically.
You have an itch on your arm.
I have an itch on my. I know how it works. I've seen how. I know. I've seen it being used before. I'd like to subtly, basically, to see whether he's been in contact with it.
Just an ever so slight pinch, but nothing notable. Doesn't seem to. He doesn't.
Something that tracks with him being that close to magic being performed, or that distance from magic being performed. Okay,
But it's
so basically,
any random
history
person.
tracks.
It's no more than necessarily any random person could have. So it's not necessarily noticeable, but.
Okay. So let me get this straight. Richard, potentially somebody, contacted Abigail, got you involved, and you built effectively a monorail made out of nothing technical. For all intents and purposes, a set that could be used on a stage.
As far as I know, it was just wood and lacquer and leather and fabric, and there was I never saw a single.
No electronics to speak of.
I never saw a single person working on any of that, and they like I say, they wouldn't let us near it until it was done, and I wasn't supposed to be there.
And then it got charged by how many people did you say, son?
Maybe a dozen or so.
Dozen or so people. And they held their hands out. And what did you see?
It whatever they did powered it somehow. They
You see any glowing, any colours, any symbols?
I saw the lights of the train come on, and I don't know.
Not a problem. This is not necessarily something you should have had any knowledge of. Before I say goodbye to him, anything else that Fate has forgotten that Seamus should have thought of to ask? Alex, Emily?
No, it's pretty good.
Don't think so.
Okay. Well,
Do we have physical characterizations of the Barretts that you could ask if he saw those specific two people?
do you have anything in particular about them that he'd be able to differentiate them?
One has bright flaming red hair, and the other one has a birthmark on her cheek.
You decided, have you?
What? Christian was just going to come up off the top of my head. I might as well do it.
He's the GM.
He just kind of says, maybe. I don't know. It felt very strange. Okay, that just. I thought I was going to be sick. I ran out and I don't know. I just lost like an hour or two, and I just came to somewhere. If I've just run into the city and just collapsed in an alley somewhere.
Well, two things. Number one, and I'm gonna reach behind his ear and pull out a business card.
Flinches away from you.
If you think of anything else,
This poor kid is traumatized, and you're doing close-up magic.
yep. Think of anything else, and it's basically the contact is basically the details of the library. Speak to my assistant here.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
And the second thing,
He already has your number. He read you earlier.
That's true.
I know, and now he can physically go there.
Okay.
And I performed a trick, and that's something I've got to tick off to gain the.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
And the second thing, you've done the right thing. You've spoken to the right people. And I'm going to try and impart kind of like a bit of a confidence boost for him. So when he goes off, he feels like he's slightly, he's happier than when he came here.
It's like, yeah. Well, I wanted someone to ask about it. I wanted someone I could talk to. Just to say it happened.
I believe you, son. Good work.
Bree's going, tell me about it. I know that feeling.
Well, sure I can't tempt you for a drink?
No, no. We're done here.
Well, if you need me, you know where I am.
Yeah, sure. And he kind of scampers off. And yeah, even though he's kind of was a little light on the details, you can tell that whatever he saw had some kind of like deeper effect on him.
Yeah. As Bree comes out of the shadows, I'm gonna take the rose out of my hat, throw it to her, give her a wink, and then should we get a drink?
And then
turn
smoke bomb and
towards the
disappear.
pub. Yeah, smoke bomb and disappear. I mean, oh, that is so tempting, but no. Because she's seen it before, and she's not going to be impressed.
Would that stop him, though?
Yeah, smoke bombs are precious.
But you already had prepped it earlier in the day.
I still might want to use it for something else.
Okay.
For the button on a scene, it's not worth it.
Okay. So just for the cue button, then he walks off, and she just takes it off and stamps on it and walks away.
So I assume we join the doctor in the pub, where
Yeah.
we relay all the information in soft,
Disseminate
hushed
that.
tones, whilst clearly having a nice pint of some description. And maybe a pie. We could do with a pie. What pies are there, Christian?
Lots.
I'll have a steak. I'll have the steak and ale, please.
I just want chips. I just want
Just want
so
a big
many
bowl of chips.
Pile of
Big
chips.
bowl of chips.
Doctor, you good self?
Nothing for me, thank you. I ate before I came.
One steak and ale pie with chips, and one so many chips. Thank you. And I slide over the requisite amount of money. And then immediately make it disappear, and then put it back down again.
I take out a big tip and I just put it on the bar and just say, I am so sorry for him.
Hey! Seamus is good at this shit, okay? He's not like, he doesn't like dropping cards every 3 seconds. He can do this shit. He's a magician.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
entertaining.
Oh, sure.
As you guys settle down with your pies and chips to discuss, I presume, your next move.
Yeah.
As you're discussing, somewhere in the middle of your conversation, outside you start to hear this kind of siren sound, which, as it gets closer and
Bree
closer,
instinctively flinches.
as it gets closer and closer, there's a distinctive difference between the 3 different kinds of sirens. You can tell that these are fire engines.
Well, they're playing our tune, it seems.
Another reason why I'm glad I didn't order food.
To go?
And and there's other people in the bar as well, just kind of stepping outside to see what's going on. And everyone steps out onto like the main road where there's like one of those big, thick 4-lane kind of carriageways that runs through the city that looks down towards the main centre, where you can see the monorail terminus is very clearly on fire as engines tear past.
It tracks because it's train.
I'm judging you right now. Well,
What happens when ghosts catch on fire? Do they care?
Depends on the ghost.
they get spirited away.
So you can say that, but I can't say that tracks.
I start walking away briskly. I would like to survey the area to see if I can see any immediate signs of foul play.
You want to head over to the terminus?
Oh, I assumed we had.
Yeah, I think we're all going that way.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there is a crowd gathering around, as you can see, as the building is heavily on fire. Like the structural damage is irreparable at this point. As the engines kind of stop around and begin wiring themselves into the city's water system and start doing their best to try and put this fire out. But it is a very safe bet that any evidence that was inside is being destroyed.
I've given Bree her bleed detector back, by the way.
Oh, cheers.
Sure.
Well, it's a good job we got the information when we did. Doctor, see anything interesting?
Do I see anything interesting?
I mean, what are you hoping to see?
Signs of foul play.
A guy
Places-
with a petrol can walking away.
I mean,
Well, yes, people running from the scene of the crime. Somewhere where it is obvious the fire was started.
I'll say you can see. I mean, it's too big and chaotic at the moment for you to be able to really do any kind of investigation, and it's still underway. But there are still members of the periphery, and you do kind of catch somebody overhead say, "Oh, thank God there was nobody inside." So it's clear that personnel had already cleared out for the day before this started. MacGyver, why?
They'd already evacuated before they set it on fire to get rid of the evidence.
But yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to, unless you want to break into the burning building. I don't think you're going to be able to tell much more than that.
Figures. Arson investigations don't often occur whilst
During the fire.
happens.
Yeah. Perhaps we should
Despite
wait until the
what
morning.
MacGyver might say.
Perhaps we should wait until morning.
Probably worth.
Yeah, we can cut to the following
Well,
day.
actually, before we do, more often than not, there might be individuals who like to hang around and watch their handiwork.
Shall I do a quick sweep of the area? See if anyone else is skulking about?
Please do. And I'm going to survey the crowd and see whether probably this might be the doctor's forte more than mine. So, more than happy to assist if that is a thing, isn't it?
I am good.
You want to
I
spend
do
your
have a
drive,
good,
yeah?
I do have a good read score, so I would like to.
I have a read of 1, but I also have it gilded.
I have a read of 2, and it's gilded.
How do I can I aid?
Yes,
in
you
that
can
respect?
spend your drive to give him dice. You guys have also got 3 dice that there's 2 dice left over from your group power.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I could spend the drive to give you the dice, or I could take it, or I could do exactly the same myself, and make another roll and make us both make rolls, and then
You can't both roll for the same thing.
So we both roll for the same thing.
No.
Okay. In that case, Alex, take one of our gilded dice.
I was going to say I am going to do that. So I'm also going to. I might as well spend one of my own cunning drives. So that brings my total up to 4. Is that correct?
4 dice
Right,
with
you're taking
2
one of the group
gilded.
ones.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I will take the 6 on the gilded, please.
Nice.
Just 1 6.
Sorry, no, yes, you're right. There are 2 6s. One of which is gilded, so I will immediately get
Best
that back.
possible result. Boom.
Yeah.
So
Montage.
you guys could have circle your way.
If there's something there to see.
You guys circle your way around the scene, and then you remember the convenient rooftop that you used to zip line your way in. You're like, you think we can still have access to that? So you
And she's got her Batman grapple gun back.
Yeah. So you head round to where you know that the little fire escape is that you can jimmy open and get up to the top of that building. As you guys get a more direct view into the building as it burns.
Burn, baby, burn. Try.
You can see that the fire is whilst it has spread out over the whole of the interior, it does seem to be no, you wouldn't really be able to tell that. You can tell it's a very tricky situation to get like bonuses in. You can
bear in mind this is technically the doctor's role to read body language of the people watching. This isn't Bree's role of sneaking around and trying to see them, unless we're categorizing them as the same.
I'm categorizing it as the same instant as you're trying to get a good look at things. So you head up onto the roof so you can get this better look at over the crowd and see if anybody is acting squirrely. But as you're up there, you instead of rather than in the crowd, you spot another nearby rooftop. Somebody who is very clearly observing with binoculars and has a handheld radio that they are just occasionally mumble into as they
are
observe
they
the
wearing
scene.
a fireman's uniform?
You can also no, they aren't. You can also see, one of you, as you look through the windows to try and get a look inside the building, that the center of this flame keeps flickering a strange pale green color and seems to be shifting about. The outer flame of the building just seems to be just a building on fire, but inside it's almost like there's some other kind of as if something big and green is on fire and moving about the building rapidly, which seems to be the center of this. But it's hard to tell. It's just a definite color shift that occasionally flares out from above this green flame.
That's concerning.
Indeed.
Do we want this guy to not be awake?
Well, we're not up on the rooftops with you, so make that call yourself.
Oh, I thought you were up with.
I'm assuming. Are we all together still?
I mean,
I
That's your
assumed
call.
Christoph rolled, so.
I assumed I had gone up high to survey the crowd better.
You
Yeah.
guys are in control of your own
Okay.
destinies.
I will not be up. I'll be moving around the crowds below.
Do you wanna have gone up by yourself, Christoph, or do you want
Well,
Bree with you?
You can come up. Whatever you feel Bree would do.
Yeah, I'll come up.
Bree likes being up high.
And I've had enough alone time with this one.
C'est fair.
I mean, do we want to do something about that guy there?
I just sort of gesture to you and just say, I believe there's something about doing no harm.
I'm not going to harm him. I have a trank gun.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. That's more
That's
your
not
forte.
harm.
That's your forte than mine.
Yeah, I'm just saying you could do it. It wouldn't be breaking your Hippocratic oath.
Yes, but you're more adept at. Never mind, just shoot the guy.
You want to try and shoot the guy?
I have a hand weapon and it's a trank gun
All right.
because I can say that. I can just say that.
Yeah, it's a control roll to shoot.
It's a control roll. Okay.
I'm actually pretty good at control.
Yeah, well, I have one. It is gilded. I would like to use a couple,
A couple.
a couple, because it's getting late and I want this to work. So, okay.
Did you roll any? Oh yeah. Okay.
I rolled 6, and I'm gonna take the 6 rather than the gilded 4. So 6.
Okay, yeah, so you position yourself on the edge of your roof. He's kind of got his back to you because he's observing the building as he just kind of talks into this radio, keeping his binoculars up. As you fire, sticks inside of his neck, just turns to look at you, just goes, collapses on the ground. And as he does so...
Okay, like on the building though.
on
not
the building,
like
doesn't
falling
fall
off
off the edge of the building.
Cool. I would like to go over there and get him and take him to the ground and make him a nice cup of tea for when he wakes up.
As he collapses, the movement inside the building stills, and the fire is going to suddenly becomes less of a roaring inferno, more of a kind of static rising flame, before it suddenly rapidly retreats into this green energy before exploding outwards again, tearing the building asunder. There's screams from the street below as everyone flees the scene as this burst of energy powers out, and the green pulse that was in the center expands outwards. I'm going to need all 3 of you to take a bleed damage, a bleed mark.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that tracks.
As this pulse of energy which destroys the building, sends debris and clutter crashing down onto the frightened masses, onto the
You say creates
fire
dead
teams.
debris.
So it's dead Bree.
All right.
Bree explodes.
No, Bree, no. Oh well.
As the building, what's left of the building collapses in on itself.
Well.
What about the
I
flame? Is it
dust
still?
myself down.
Are the ruins still
The
burning?
ruins are still on
or-
fire. Yeah.
Whatever you just did, Bree, might have made it worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are some people who are probably dead because of that. In fact, Bree, take a brain. Make a brain mark as well. Psychological damage. Well,
How was I supposed to know? What, was he like controlling it?
I pull out my
What do they say? Is anyone saying anything on the radio?
As you shake it off and clamber over him, as you see the destruction below, as you can just hear a kind of static. It sounds like just static at first, until you realise that it is a gentle whispering voice, and then it's
What's it saying?
multiple whispering voices, all pleading for help and continually saying it's not right here. We don't want to be here. But that's all. There's over and
Then
over.
go. Be free. I release you.
They don't seem to respond to you.
Hey, can you wake up and release them? You're in charge of them, right? Right? Why am I talking to you? You're unconscious. And then I once again go look over at Kristoff and just.
He's right next to you.
I
No, but I obviously went over to pick up the radio.
I'm
Yeah, no,
assuming that
this-
Christoph went with you.
yeah, no, I like the second I see you start doing this, I just like wave my arms and like back downstairs. I would like to use my final bit of gear, my medical equipment. I do a cursory glance over this chap to make sure he's not holding any obvious weapons or the like.
I think he is a weapon.
Yes.
Do you think him losing his concentrating on the building made it worse? Did I do that?
I don't know, Bree.
I really don't want to have done that. Oh,
Bree, we'll talk about that later.
will you?
Will he what?
Yes. Right now we need to focus.
Right.
Syringe.
Who's this fine-looking gentleman?
Give him like an adrenaline
so I-
shot to wake him up.
Yeah, as I said, I make sure he's not carrying any obvious weapons, and then
But before you do, Doctor, could someone brief me into who he is?
He made that gestures towards the fire. He went to sleep, and when he went to sleep, it went from being controlled fire to exploding fire. It was concerning.
The radio?
They're all saying, help me, help me. It's also very concerning.
Understood.
I was assuming that he was just, the person reporting to the big boss or whatever, but no, he's a magic man with the device that talks to him.
I Pulp Fiction the dude.
Well, in that case, Doctor, by all means, I'm going to reach into my suit jacket and pull out my hidden weapon, which is just a revolver, but a slimline revolver sort of thing. Just check that it's loaded, ratchet it back, and just tuck it back in, just in case.
As he just kind of suddenly shocks awake, because Pulp Fiction people definitely works and is science and not
Yes.
movie bullshit at all.
Yep.
As he goes, what are you doing as he awakens? He's going to do something, but you don't know what it is.
I have the walkie-talkie, and I've clipped it on the back of my whatever I'm wearing.
And I have a pistol aimed squarely at his forehead. And as he kind of wakes up and be like, I would not do anything foolish if I were you.
As he just kind of locks eyes with you.
Don't antagonize the man who controls fire, maybe. Maybe don't.
Oh, there's no kind of saving throws in this. I think make a sense roll.
What, me?
Yeah,
Is this high stakes?
it's very high stakes.
In that case, I will be cool under pressure, and I will make a sense roll, but spend my cunning drive to add to it.
Okay, and also I did see this coming because I'm literally telling you,
Yeah?
don't threaten the man who can make buildings go on fire.
So you are giving me another dice as well.
Yes.
Okay. So that is sense. So that is 3 dice. Sadly, none gilded. Do you want to add our last gilded dice into it, or not bother?
Do you,
Nah.
do
It
you,
could still get worse.
5.
As you can, as he locks eyes with you, you can almost kind of feel him just staring through you, and there's this energy off of him, and the sound around you, the burning, the screaming, the panicked, the sounds of the fire engines.
I shoot him in the leg.
All begins to drop out. It just begins to drop out, and you go to shoot, but you can't seem to control. You sort of start turning the gun towards yourself before you've just about gained back control and just kind of fire off into the distance. And in the shock of you doing that, he kind of kicks to his feet and begins trying to push away from you all. But you definitely felt the urge to shoot, to turn the gun on yourself. And it was a very disturbing feeling, that sudden desire to do that. It was more than just like he was controlling you. It was a desire deep in your brain to do that. And you just kind of, just that behavior, that the shot that just fires right past Bree's kind of head, just barely misses her, takes her by surprise, and the doctor, again, who looks up in shock, gives this guy enough time to kind of push off the ground and start crawling on all fours away.
As he starts making the run, I'm going to reach into my other pocket and pull out the flash powder and basically
Nice.
throw it down right in front of him to go to get a shock and or explosion just to confuse him.
All right, make a roll. What roll are you making? I can't see the couch sheet because MacGyver's sat in front of that screen. Silly cat.
I mean, you could argue control it shoots, or maybe it's sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand makes sense.
I think it's control. I think it's more of a shoot roll, just because sleight of hand, you're not like trying to do anything. Sleight of hand is more like if you're trying to avoid being seen doing something. He knows that this is happening.
I'm spending a drive to get another dice. Ooh, I'll take the 4.
And what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get the flash powder and throw it down in front of him, just to get the pop 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 pop, as if it's like a load of explosives and shock and awe going up in front of him, and hoping that one of my colleagues are going to try and tackle him to the ground.
So you're just trying to stop him?
Yeah, trying to stop him, basically make him kind of just stop from, just to reset his brain for a second so he's not scrambling away from us.
Okay, so so the flashbang goes off. He doesn't have time to process what it is, so interprets it as some kind of gunfire or something. So instead, he pushes up, because he was on all fours at this point, as his kind of elbows twisted forward, as he pushes himself up onto his feet and begins heading the opposite direction. So he's coming back towards you now, but he's heading straight at the edge of the roof, and doesn't look like he's slowing down.
Try and tackle him. This is such a bad idea. Last time I took this guy down, a building exploded, but I'll try. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, this is a high stakes
Tackle
roll
it.
now.
Obviously. I only have one of these.
Gonna be a strike, unless you
Sure,
have
I
no
got
idea.
nothing.
I mean, I'll add 2 more because this has to work, or I'm gonna die. Okay, I got a 5.
Okay. So as he runs towards the edge of the roof, as he flicks his arms out, his jacket that he's wearing splits up the back and kind of falls out almost into these kind of wings around him as Bree grabs onto you grab onto his waist. However, he is surprisingly strong and takes off the edge of the roof with you hanging onto him, and begins
I regret my life choices.
to soar through the air. He's not flying as much as he's gliding, but it seems that whatever he did gave him some bonuses. You are holding onto him, but the two of you have launched off the edge of the roof.
Do I have enough
I mean, it's
freedom of...
time for the doctor to
That's
do
fair.
something because he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah. I am a physician.
But he's regretting giving him adrenaline now.
MacGyver.
Okay, I have two thoughts. Either I want to pick up the dart gun that Bree just dropped.
Don't. No.
Okay.
I'm flying.
Hey, look, you haven't got a body mark yet. You're fine.
You can take more
Or
than one mark
if-
at a time.
Or
Come on, MacGyver. Why are you standing in front of the camera?
is there anything that doesn't cause
Unnecessary.
us to plummet to the ground? I mean, I'm all here for it. You do what you want, man.
I mean, to be honest, I doubt it. But
Decisions
okay,
need to be
no,
made.
fuck it. I'm. This is a weird call, but I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to I'm going to take out a sedative syringe from my medical kit and try and throw it in this guy's back.
Okay.
I mean, you need to depress syringes, right? You don't. If
Hey.
they're like sticking,
I
they
just
don't
put,
add-
I
Movie
just Pulp Fiction
science.
the dude face.
They
Don't.
move
Yeah,
it would,
we're
though.
operating
right,
on
right.
movie
It
science
would,
here.
Yeah.
right.
Sure. I mean,
Movie
a
science, gotcha.
control roll, I think.
Yes, control. I think I'm going to take the final gilded die, if people don't mind.
Sure.
And then I'm also going to spend one of my nerve drives, so that's 4 actually.
High stakes roll.
High stakes roll. So I rolled on the 4 die. I got 1, 2, 2,
6.
6.
Wow, that's a bad.
Okay.
That's overall a bad roll, but
and-
you got what you needed.
Yeah, and the 6 was a gilded. So
Ah, sweet.
Nice.
Good thing you took it.
Hmm.
Cool. So you get your drive back.
Mm-hmm.
As yeah, you.
And I should point out this is like a sedative, so it's not it's designed to, be quick acting, not instant acting. So,
Hopefully, he'll sink to the ground.
yes.
Okay. That is, yeah.
So yeah, so it sticks into his
He'll get to wherever he's landed and then stop.
back, as he kind of begins gliding down towards street level. Luckily, the chaos in the streets around is enough to avoid you guys being spotted yet. As Bree weighing him down, plus this syringe sticking in his back, he begins kind of quite rapidly descend. Bree, you're going to hit the ground hard, unless you have a way around that.
I mean, I can try to do a cool stunt roll, but I also am just trying to hold on to him.
She's got 1 resistance in nerve. Does that matter?
No, it's allows you to re-roll
I
dice.
forgot about my resistance.
Okay.
Resistance is
I
to
mean,
re-roll
yeah, I
your
don't
dice.
have anything fancy.
All right. So he plummets.
I mean, I can try to do a cool move to, like, land and make sure I land on him rather than on the ground.
I'll allow you to make a move roll to mitigate some of the damage. You can't avoid it entirely, but you can
Yeah.
mitigate it.
I mean, that's fair. I have 2 dice and move, so that's what we're gonna do. I got a 6.
Sweet.
And a 3.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
No. But just the people at home.
Oh, as you
don't
get
even
closer to the ground, he's obviously trying to throw you off at the same time, before he suddenly starts to kind of lose his consciousness.
He's feeling a little bit drunk.
You manage to prevent him from just like smacking you in the face, but the two of you start to barrel roll, and you purposefully throw yourself off of him so that you impact the wall and slide down onto the highest surface you can see, which is this little canopy roof across the top of the back door of this building. So you hit the wall and slide down onto this corrugated iron roof before rolling off of that onto the floor. You're going to take one. I'm going to give you 1 point in body because you did roll a 6. I'm going to be generous. But that hurt.
Well, now all my marks are even.
You've taken one of everything.
Is the max 3 in one category or across the board?
Across the board, I think. I'll double check that though.
Okay, well, I hit that.
Cool. As he
Does that mean I have legs full of spiders now?
as he swoops down himself and just crashes into a nearby wall and kind of bounces about this street before tumbling onto the ground. He's still kind of staggering. He's not unconscious, but he's definitely been affected by this drug. It's not been quite as effective because it's just a thrown syringe. It's taken like a little bit of the effect, but he seems to be definitely groggy.
Okay, well, I'm trying to follow him to.
Let's look up how the wounds work though, because it does matter now.
It's fine. It's fine.
A character can sustain 3 marks in each of body, brain, and bleed.
Yes.
Whenever you would take a mark in a category that already has 3 marks, you drop incapacity and take the 4th mark as a
You guys
scar.
told me you didn't
Page
have
14.
access to the book. Liars.
I got it.
Got it.
Ah, cool.
Halfway down page 14.
Oh, also, can't you have body armor? Or have you already taken your 3 things?
I've already
you've taken
taken
your
3
3 things.
things. Yeah.
All right. Well, you've got a little bit of damage and everything. Well-rounded
Yeah.
damage.
I'm a very well-rounded individual. Thank you for noticing.
Meanwhile, on the roof, Seamus and Christoph, what are you doing? The two of them just crashed into the ground below.
I mean, in fairness, upon seeing Bree crash, I think I would, doing my, duty as a physician, I would again start, jogging down the fire escape or, whatever well-frequented stairwell I have to get up onto this roof.
I'll just follow, but at a much more leisurely pace.
Okay, sure. Bree, you're at his level, so you kind of push yourself to your feet as you can see him stumbling away from you.
Yes, I'm trying to keep him. I don't know if I'm trying to make physical contact again, but I definitely want to keep him in my sights and be as close as possible so he can't poof away or do something stupid.
Okay.
Do I want to try that to him? Do I want to be sneaky? I should be sneaky. I'm good at being sneaky. I'm limping a little bit, but I'm sneaky.
I'm
keeping a tail on him.
As you start to follow him, he moves his way about the street into a quiet side alley, and as he kind of turns around, you can see his eyes have gone deep and black, and there's a black ichor kind of just coming out the sides of his mouth, as everything about him seems to become more gaunt than he was before, as you can see kind of the veins protruding on his arm. As he looks about and catches eyes with you, seemingly seems to be able to see you regardless of how hidden you are. And he just looks to you, reaches into his jacket, takes out a revolver, puts it in his own mouth, and blows the top of his head off. I need you to take one more
Oh.
brain mark for having witnessed that
Oh, that's unfortunate.
before he collapses on the ground. At this point, police sirens and ambulance sirens and a bevy of sirens are honing in as Seamus and Christoph come up to you in the alley, the body of this man just laying ahead as there are people in the streets all around. The chaos once again of what has happened dawning upon you, surrounding you.
Did you do that?
No, that was him.
Understood.
I hold out a hand. I start making a quick walk towards the body and just hold up my hand to just the both of you and just go, vial.
I don't have one.
And I reach into my pocket, and I'm assuming you are after a bleed containment vial.
Yes.
That'll be my third item, as I hand you my bleed containment vial.
I take I quickly and expertly with literally surgical precision take I would like to take a sample of blood and flesh if possible.
It's what catches you first is the black ichor that's kind of coming out of his mouth and eyes. That seems to be the most unusual thing about him.
I would like to take such a sample.
Maybe don't get your fingerprints on him or anything. Just, as a professional tip.
Thank you, Bree. That had occurred to me. But thank you.
Miss Weathers, could you make sure there are no authorities coming down this direction?
I'll keep a lookout.
I don't.
Yes, they're coming from everywhere.
You guys are in a hurry, so I think I am going to ask for a control roll from the doctor there.
Okay.
Just to not get the ichor on you.
Given that this is this could be argued to be some sort of dissection, could I potentially use my special ability to make this a focus roll?
Ooh, I'll allow it.
Also, I saw this coming and I told you to wear gloves.
That's true, you did. What does that do?
That gives me an extra dice. I did. I literally said don't get fingerprints
She did
on
say
me.
that.
I'm assuming it's meant to be a bit of more of a flashback type situation
will
rather
take-
than to the 2
No.
seconds ago.
I mean, in
It's
fairness, I
fine.
am literally doing a dissection. So I have taken out a scalpel, and so I presume I have probably put on
Get an eyeball.
medical
I'm trying
gloves.
to give you an extra die, man. If you don't want it, just say so.
No. I will take. Oh, it gives me an extra die.
Yeah.
Oh, that might make a difference.
Why did you roll really
That's
bad?
cocked. Not bad, just not as well as I could have. Okay, I'll take the gilded 4.
The gilded foot, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, so you cut out around where you can see some of the ichor coming out, and more of it begins to pour. And it does have a strange smell and a strange energy to it that kind of like makes you a little bit dizzy in the immediate. This kind of psychic energy as you scoop it up and contain into the containment vial before corking it, putting it in a safe place. But it does have it does have a slight energy to it. However, as you're doing this, a police wagon slides into the end of the street that you are on, facing towards you guys.
I turn and give sort of stand up, sort of showing the vial, and then give Seamus a very pointed look.
Smoke bomb!
And
And
you
there's
don't-
a reason why we kept it.
You don't have to.
and within moments, yeah, the streets are teeming with police or teeming with periphery, and you guys are forced to flee the scene without being able to investigate any further. Back at the library the following day, the trail here has largely gone cold. Evidence destroyed in this fire created by this individual, whoever they were. The missing people are still missing, but any leads on that seem to have anybody who was connected to it, with the exception of like the city officials, seem to have disappeared into the undergrowth of the city or just left town or whatever. You can't seem to find hide nor hair of anybody. So whilst this case remains unsolved, you have hit a dead end, unfortunately. But there are still mysteries to uncover if we ever wanted to continue.
Yeah. We can get something sorted out. I'd be happy with that. I performed the trick.
You did perform a trick.
I did so many illegal things.
That is
True.
very true. You could not have committed more crimes in like a 10-minute window. You guys back on the edge of some kind of conspiracy, and that was just out of reach in the end.
I mean, a cult made a train run by magic so they could kidnap a bunch of people. What's so difficult about that?
That just happens all the time, you know. Can't
Yeah,
open the newspaper
just-
without reading about it.
that's just every day in the good old Candela Obscura, Circle of the Shadowed Hand. Outro?
Outro.
Outro.
Roll
Oh, no,
credits.
It's
Like and subscribe!
Yes, that was our first introduction to the Candela Obscura system.
I like that
Yes.
system. The dice are fun.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not bad, is it? It's quite funky.
It's quite interesting as well because the rule book could be a lot shorter. I mean, obviously with all the lore and stuff, which is great. I'm looking forward to reading it properly. But if the actual rules itself is probably, not that many pages worth in the grand scheme of things.
It's really rules light, which is nice to just be able to pick up and play.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Roll a d6, hope you get a 6. Failing that, get a 5 or a 4. I mean, technically, I don't believe we
didn't
failed.
fail any
Didn't
rolls.
fail a roll this evening, did we?
No. Because you guys was playing to your strengths.
Mm.
And spending drive like there's no tomorrow because we didn't think there was going to be.
Yeah, and we have no idea how it refreshes. So that's a problem for later us if we continue.
Yeah, Emily's got some
Very true.
psychological trauma to add to
Oh, I have so much trauma.
Bree's previous psychological trauma, but other than that, fine.
Everything is fine. What dice do I have to spend to get a therapist?
I like the
All the
Not
dice.
mine.
the magician and the doctor have got one bleed mark, and then Emily's got one body, 2 brain, and 1 bleed. Just in harm's way.
Oh, these things happen.
I feel like this is just my playstyle.
Yeah, if we decide we're going to continue that at some point, then I'm happy to discuss the level up procedure, as it were. It's a collective kind of thing. But yeah, I hope everyone had fun.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Christian.
Yes,
Very
indeed.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to anyone that
And I hope
came
you
to
enjoyed
watch us.
watching.
Yes, thanks to anyone that came to watch us. And yeah, maybe we'll continue. If not, there'll be some other one-shots or other systems on this channel at some point. But yeah, maybe that will continue if we are curious enough to do so. So
What's the next thing that's going to come out of Christian's brain?
If you want to see more of us, comment your favorite character below.
I can only hold this hose so long, guys.
All right. Do Twitch things. I haven't worked out what they are yet. I think you click follow. I don't know. Subscribe. I don't know. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.